$5 million policy. SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance.
For your free quote, call SelectQuote at 1-800-478-6688. That's 1-800-478-6688. Or go to SelectQuote.com. 1-800-478-6688. That's 1-800-478-6688.
SelectQuote. We shop. You save. Full details on example policies at selectquote.com/commercials.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles, with an auto warranty about to expire, or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost, month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-736-6158 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-736-6158. That's 800-736-6158. What do you have to lose? Call 800-736-6158. Again, 800-736-6158.
Seems like everything is going electric these days. Electric cars, electric trucks. But what you save on gas, you pay for with that electric bill. With all these things being plugged into your house, wouldn't it be nice to save up to 85% on your monthly electric bill? Well, you can do that with zero down and no payments for 12 months. Call Harmon Solar. Harmon Solar is a family-owned, woman-owned local company that uses top-of-the-line equipment. Call Harmon Solar, 800-281-3189. That's 800-281-3189. Or go to harmonsolar.com.
There's a right way and a wrong way to fight off mosquitoes. Karate chopping the air in a public place in front of your kids and their friends, Mom, is the wrong way. Using STEM mosquito repellent is the right way. STEM effectively repels mosquitoes by harnessing active ingredients found in plants like lemongrass and peppermint, making it safe for use as directed around people and pets. STEM, rooted in nature, optimized by science, and embarrassment-free.
If you're struggling, if you're lost, if you need someone to talk to, or if you're concerned about a loved one, call, text, or live chat the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. 988 crisis counselors are available 24/7 to listen and provide free, confidential support when you need it most.
Thank you for contacting 988. How can I help you today?
The first step to help and healing is 3 numbers away. When you reach out to 988, hope always answers. This message is sponsored by the Arizona Department of Health.
KQFN Tempe.
Also transmitting on K25CD Phoenix at 99.3 FM and K24EU Fountain Hills at 95.9 FM.
Live from the Harmon Solar Studios in Scottsdale. 1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic.
All right, people, settle down.
Because it's time.
Time for what?
Showtime.
When does it start?
Right now. 3, 2, 1.
Let's get on with the show. Let's do it.
Just saying, if I had the Stanley Cup, how many beers would it take to fill up the Stanley Cup? That's all I'm saying, Keon. You know, I'm looking at this thing here on Twitter right now, and the guy's 15 in. I mean, how many beers can fill up the Stanley Cup? What's your estimation?
How many?
Are we on the air? Oh,
a
hang
bunch
on.
of them, probably.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to a Friday edition of the Daily Blender on 1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic as we broadcast live from the Harmon Solar Studios, beautiful uptown Scottsdale, CRC Mega Sports Complex. Right over there, sexiest man in sports talk radio. That's Keon Rose. My name is Randy White. Jeffrey O'Brien on assignment. You are texting in at 888-368-1580. You are the fourth dimension, and we are here because of you. This is incredible. So this guy's up to 15 beers. All right, so there's 16. All right, so the end of this thing, I'm going to repost this on my Twitter feed at Radio Randy 777. How many beers does it take to fill up the cup? 17 beers. 17. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to post this right now. Yeah. I'm hitting the retweet now. And I'm posting it, and it'll be there Hang on, I can't type. Lots of stuff going on in sports today. I'll be your Huckleberry. Okay, it's at Radio Randy 777. It's there. 888-368-1580. I just thought that was interesting. I mean, I never thought about that. I know guys who've won the Stanley Cup have eaten cereal out of it. They've had stew out of it, whatever. They've taken it with them on cruises. They've gone fishing with it. I don't know what other kind of things the hockey players do with the Stanley Cup. But this is interesting. 17 beers. Did you know that, Cam?
I didn't know that. And I know a lot of people have also, had beers out of the Stanley Cup before, but I don't think anybody bothered to check how many would actually fit.
All the way to the brim. This is like all the way up. Like you a proper filling of a glass of beer. You know what I mean? Not that stuff that leaves you like 3 inches of head on the top of the beer. I don't care if you like head or not. If 3 inches of head at the top of your beer is just no está bien. You know what I'm saying?
I hear you.
You got about half that, but you got to have it right up to the brim. 17 beers in the Stanley Cup. I don't know. Lots of things happening today. I got up this morning, Keon, and the air was a little fresher. The grass was a little greener. Sun shined a little brighter. Sky was a little bluer. Birds sang a little louder, a little more beautiful.
Had a little steam in your stride.
Diamondbacks tied atop the National League West. I just want to repeat that over and over again. They go into action tonight against the Bravos in downtown Phoenix. That'll be coming up later on this evening. But as of right now, they're tied for not only the lead in the National League West, but the best damn record in the National League, too. 4th best overall in baseball. I just thought I would remind the fourth dimension that is the case.
And if you had said by June, this is where the Diamondbacks would be, I wouldn't have believed you at the beginning of the season.
I never saw them leading. No. I saw them in 3rd place, and I saw them maybe being, a better, more competitive team this year, a little better pitching, better hitting, a young core of guys. They made some decent moves. I didn't really like the move they made with the Blue Jays, but now it's paying off for us. Yuri Gurriel is doing a wonderful job with this team. I didn't like bringing in the gray beard from San Francisco, but Longo is going yard. It doesn't look like he's missed too much. And they're not playing him every day. They're hitting him as DH and they're giving him time at third base. And I think they're using him well. But those youngsters out there from the Diamondbacks farm team, by the way, the farm system for the Diamondbacks, one of the best in baseball. They don't trust me. Do your research. I mean, we've been ripping on Mike Hazen pretty good on this radio program. I have done that myself. All right, 888-368-1580. The historian says, historically speaking, P.T. Barnum and his circus begins its first show. It has its begins its circuit, I guess, today on this date.
How about that?
I'm waiting for the date because I have I've got the spinning beach ball of death here on the text line. So I'm hitting refresh. Thank you, historian. Yeah, it begins its first tour of the United States on this date in 1839. 1839.
It's a long time ago.
I mean, wow. I see Bruno Baller has asked, are those 12-ounce cans they're pouring into the trophy? You just go to my Twitter page. If you don't have a Twitter, yes, it is 12-ounce cans. But on my Twitter page at Radio Randy 777, you can see it. I posted it on there for you. I know this will intrigue the fourth dimension. Now, I will tell you, I've never seen the Stanley Cup up close and personal. But the indoor football league, that trophy they used to have, the Rattlers won, I did stand next to that. That's a pretty damn big. I could drink some beers out of that one. I wonder if that would hold 17 beers.
I've never seen it, so I would have to.
I'll have to send you a picture of me standing next to it. It's a much slimmer me. It was several years back. Anyway, yes, those are 12-ounce beers. They're pouring into the trophy. Bruno Baller. Beer Bob says someone has actually even bathed their newborn baby in the Stanley Cup. Well, now, why would you do that?
Wasn't that when like the Bruins won a few years ago?
Why would you bathe your child in the Stanley Cup?
So you could tell the kid that they bathed in the Stanley Cup. They get older and it's just like, hey, here's a story. When you
are you trying to indoctrinate your child to be a hockey player? Is that what it is? Or are you just trying to be like, unique? Hey, look what I did with the trophy. Come on, man, have some respect. Walter Mellon says, I'm with you, Randy. My family and I will be attending the game tonight. Should be a good battle. I hope the backs win. I mean, the D-backs. Yeah. Well, the A's, I understand, took care of the Bravos, and the Braves are not a great home team or a road team, and they've been struggling lately.
And they've got Charlie Morton on the mound, and he's been struggling lately.
Sounds like it might be, what is it, 6 in a row now for the Snakes?
Boy, I sure hope so.
Boy, and then the Dodgers lose against the Yankees.
And the Yankees are getting healthy right now.
Would that be a great weekend kickoff with the Yankees beating the Dodgers in their own stadium? Blissful Hayes, happy Friday, Randy and Keon. The fourth dimension as of now, who wins the championship as a head coach first, Monty or Frank Vogel? I would give you Frank Vogel.
I'd give you Vogel if for no other reason than the Suns are in a much better position than the Pistons are right now.
Somebody was, I want to talk about this in a minute, but yeah. Okay. Heavy Metal Maniacs, breaking news. Phoenix Suns have a new head coach. Yeah. It's Frank Vogel. We'll talk about it in a second. Navy Brad, the child was bathing in the Holy Grail. No, it's the Stanley Cup. It's not the Holy Grail. From what I understand, I don't think your child could fit inside the Holy Grail. And second of all, you don't want that smoke. I mean, if you were to get into the Holy Grail, can you imagine the terror and the horror that you would witness as God unleashes power, somebody to deal with one of his holy implements, and you're going to bathe your child in it?
Also, isn't the Holy Grail supposed to grant eternal youth? Like, do you want your child to just be a baby forever?
Oh, see, that's a good point.
Yeah, I mean, they Yeah.
Oh, damn, that's a good point. Yeah. Speaking of youth, I will. You need to be thinking thoughts and good vibes towards Randy. This weekend, I have 3 female grandchildren in the house at the same time.
Godspeed.
3 female grandchildren in the house at the same time. Miss Kim went out and purchased the mother of all blow up water parks for our backyard. So as soon as I get off the air, that's what my job is. Set up the water park. And then find a nice cigar in a corner in the backyard. Get out of the way. That's my job.
Makes sense.
Hi guys, TGIF. Woo says, I've seen the Stanley Cup. Pretty cool experience. It was a free event. Many my parents brought their babies. They would sit in the child in the cup and take a picture. Many parents brought their babies, and they would put the child in the cup and take a picture. Why? That's like the ultimate trophy. Isn't that the oldest trophy? It's the oldest major sports championship trophy, I believe. I believe it's even older than the Borg Warner Trophy for the Indianapolis 500.
Yeah, it's the oldest trophy in North American sports.
Last Optimist says Detroit's Thomas Holstrom used the Stanley Cup as a baptismal font to christen his 7-week-old daughter. Well, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. Heavy Metal Maniacs, I have a photo of me holding the World Series trophy when the Diamondbacks won the World Series. Now, see, that's darn cool, Heavy Metal Maniacs. Good for you. If I had a chance to hold the World Series trophy, you're damn tootin' I would. Absolutely right. All right. So 888-368-1580. Frank Vogel is the new head coach of your Phoenix Suns. He has won a championship, although it's an asterisk championship in my opinion. Lakers won it in that bubble in 2020. But he is known for developing a great defense on the teams that he coaches. He was with Indiana, did a pretty good job with the Pacers, took them to the playoffs. Then he was with Orlando for a bit. It wasn't a good experience, but I think that really, Keon, I think that really wasn't his fault. I think that was just the roster he had.
Yeah, he didn't have a great roster, and it was a bunch of young guys, and I think they wanted him to try and win faster than they were capable of doing, and then they just sort of scrapped the whole thing in 2 years.
And then he was with the Lakers, and they won the championship. But I still say with the Lakers, when you have LeBron on there, I guess you're doing some coaching. I can't really say, well, LeBron's really the coach of the team. I don't think Frank Vogel would do that. Do you?
No, and especially when you look at some of the defensive jobs that the Lakers had. And in 2020, they had the number 1 defensive rating in the league. In 2019, they had the 3rd defensive rating in the league. The fact is that's what Frank Vogel does, and I don't think that LeBron was the one pulling the strings and making them have a great defense.
So with the addition of Frank Vogel as the new head coach, and it sounds like he's going to sign a 5-year contract. They're going to have a dimension on this Suns team that they haven't had for several years. And I know you out there in the 4th dimension have been saying this too. The Suns don't play defense. They don't play defense. It's sort of like a bullfight defense. Ole! And you just watch them go onto the basket and score. The mindset has been to outscore the opponents and run them into the ground. Now Frank Vogel's coming to town, and he's got two snipers in Book and KD. Looks like they're going to keep CP3 for now. And it looks like DA's finally going to get a head coach that's going to teach him how to play some defense under the hoop. I haven't heard any other rumors. Have you, Keon?
No, I haven't heard any rumors. Though, I mean, I still think the Suns should probably consider getting something for Ayton. Not because I don't like him. I personally, I think that there's something in there. But, just to get some more depth back, that might be a good way to do it. But, I like what Frank Vogel does. He's gone on teams with far less talent than this. He did a good job in Indiana. And went toe-to-toe with Eric Spoelstra and those Miami Heat that had LeBron James, Chris Bosh, Dwayne Wade, Ray Allen. His teams had Paul George, which was a player he developed.
Yeah.
And then who else was on that team? Roy Hibbert, Lance Stevenson, David West. That was the team. There weren't superstars on that team, and they had some epic battles with Eric Spoelstra in those Heat teams. And I think he deserves a ton of credit for building a great defense there.
I'm so thankful we don't have Doc Rivers.
Oh, me too. It's the sigh of relief that I felt this morning when I saw the Suns hired Frank Vogel. I cannot express that.
I thought for sure Doc Rivers was coming to Phoenix. But congratulations to the Phoenix Suns, to Matt Ishbia, and to the front office there at the Suns, bringing in a guy, I think, a quality head coach. I feel like Frank Vogel is going to do a good job with this team. I think he's set up for success. Now we'll see what happens as the summer progresses. If they keep CP3, if they keep DeAndre Ayton, what are they going to do to get some depth? They need more players on this team. They're going to have to replace the guys they sent to Brooklyn for KD. They're going to have to do it. So it'll be interesting to see how this kind of plays out. And the draft is coming up shortly, so I'm sure Frank will have some input into how he wants this roster set up. can't believe they would bring in a tenured coach like this and then not at least talk with him about what the roster should look like. Remember, I feel like the GM and the head coach have got to be teammates. They just can't be two different separate entities.
And that's why I think part of the process took as long as it did. Like if we're going to move in a defensive direction, if that's what we're going to be, you've got enough offense between Kevin Durant and Devin Booker. Then Frank Vogel's going to have to factor in on maybe not specific players. Maybe, I don't know if Frank Vogel has anybody in mind that he'd love to see the Suns go after, but the idea that at least James Jones knows now these are the kinds of players that I can pursue in free agency, that I could pursue via trade, because I know who my head coach is and I know what he likes.
Does that mean they're going to slow the game down?
That doesn't necessarily mean you have to, because if you play great defense and you force steals and you get blocks, that can lead to transition offense. And we saw last night what you can do in transition in the finals if you play really good defense.
The Heat were dizzy watching the Nuggets go by them, but yeah. So I mean, on a certain end, you're gonna slow the game down a little bit, but you know what? That's great for the playoffs. I mean, the playoffs, the game naturally does slow down. Teams are a whole lot better when you're playing a team, best of 7, so potentially 4 times in a row, as many times as 7. Then guess what? There aren't any mysteries. There aren't any secrets. You can't trick people. You do have to be able to win games when they slow down. So I think this is going to be a different look Phoenix Suns. It's not going to be run and gun. They're going to play because Frank Vogel has been known for putting together elite defenses. And I think the draft this year, I think the free agency this year, the moves that this team make will be all, encompassing on a team that's well-rounded, yes, but that can bring the defense and shut down other teams and strangle them. And speaking of defense, let's talk about what happened last night. We're up against a break, so we're going to go to break. On the other side, let's talk about Nuggets and Heat, Game 1. We'll break it down for you on the other side here on the Daily Blender on 1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic.
Hi, this is Jason Hansen. I'm a former CIA officer and best-selling author on safety and preparedness. The fact is, things are getting downright scary for everyone who's storing their wealth in the banks. We just saw the collapse of 3 major banks, and I would urge you to consider protecting your wealth ASAP. If even a tiny percentage of Americans attempt to withdraw their savings, we would see a collapse of the entire banking system, sending us into a modern-day Great Depression. Fortunately, there is a way for you to avoid this. It starts with contacting Advantage Gold. If you have an IRA or 401k, Advantage Gold can help convert those paper assets into physical gold and silver. This is the process that I recommend everybody use as a hedge against rapid inflation and to protect your retirement wealth from the banks. Take control of your financial safety today. Call 800-900-8000 to get your free gold investment kit from Advantage Gold. Call 800-900-8000. That's 800-900-8000.
Advantage Gold is not an investment advisor or a tax advisor. Consult with your financial advisor before investing.
Call 800-900-8000.
Texting enrolls you into recurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could be lower testosterone. I went through it a while back. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me.
I've seen that on TV. Is it for real?
Oh, yeah. The patented key ingredient is something called Testofen, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels to help you trim up and stay lean.
And it's made a difference for you?
Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again. At work, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves?
Yeah, you just need to send them a text.
Text LEAP to 321-321 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast, absolutely free. Text LEAP to 321-321. That's LEAP to 321-321.
Products and statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease or illness.
Give back to Arizona and be part of something bigger than yourself. When you sign up for AmeriCorps, you open a door to make a difference. Serve as a teacher, protect nature, support veterans, or help where your passion lies. Part-time or full-time, student or senior, AmeriCorps is for everyone. Sign up at serve.az.gov. That's serve.az.gov. This message is sponsored by the Arizona Governor's Office of Youth, Faith, and Family.
New schedule, new season, new direction. This year, the Cardinals will travel over 25,000 miles. They will do battle against Bears, Browns, Texans, Rams, 49ers, Seahawks, Eagles, Steelers, and Commanders on the road. They will face the Bengals, Cowboys, Giants, Rams, 49ers, Seahawks, Falcons, and Ravens at home. Think there won't be drama? When it comes to Arizona Cardinals football, we talk about it. 1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic.
Mars Bars 805. Whoopsie. Double punch. Pineapple. Was I live? Was I live when I said aha?
I didn't quite get you out in time.
Hamilton Porter on the text line. Thanks, Mars Bars 805.
Had a lot going on.
There's your 805. Hamilton Porter, my wife's next door neighbor growing up, was a Red Wings announcer. He had the neighborhood over on his day with the cup, have a picture of me drinking beer out of it. Sweet. That's kind of cool. But I mean, bathing your children in it. Blissful Hayes, Monty is a way better coach than Frank Vogel. I guess I guess we're going to find out, aren't we, Blissful Hayes? You know, I don't know how you can derive that because Frank Vogel hasn't had a chance to coach this roster yet.
Yeah.
Frank Vogel has won a championship with the Lakers. And Frank Vogel has a history. I'm sorry, Keon, I'll let you talk in a second. He's got a history of developing teams with what the article says is elite defense. So I mean, I understand your reaction based upon Frank Vogel's coaching history. Or I think Orlando was sort of a fluke. I think it wasn't really his issue. And Indiana, although not overwhelming, he did go to the playoffs. He did take them to the Eastern Conference Finals a couple of times, I think. Go ahead, Keon. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, you're good. I mean, when you look at what he had going on in Orlando, he had a young Aaron Gordon, who played really well last night for Denver. But obviously, if he was the guy that they thought he was when they drafted him, he'd still be in Orlando. Then he had Nikola Vucevic. He had Evan Fournier. He had Jonathan Simmons, Alfred Payton. Like that wasn't a good team. I'm sorry. Like what happened in Orlando just wasn't a good team. But I look at the Indiana teams with Frank Vogel as a testament to how good he can be as a coach when his best player was Paul George. And then like a bunch of guys who are not going to the Hall of Fame, not all-stars. And he went up against a team with 3 Hall of Famers, and they went 6-7 games in those battles that they did with the Miami Heat back then against Eric Spoelstra, who we know now in the finals to be a fantastic coach. So I don't know how you could say that Monty, who has had more to work with here in Phoenix, is somehow the better coach.
Lost Toby says Doc Rivers should never have been a top 3 finalist.
Agreed.
Well, I mean, you have no argument from Keon and I. Yeah.
Agreed.
Mr. Wilbur, conversation I overheard between Frank Vogel and DeAndre Ayton. Okay, this should be good. Frank says, DeAndre, are you going to play defense for me? DeAndre said, absolutely, sir. I'm a really good player. Frank replies, liar, liar, pants on fire. You're traded.
That's one way of looking at it.
Mr. Wilbur breaks out the liar, liar, pants on fire. You're traded. I don't know where you were, Mr. Wilbur, when you heard this conversation, but I question it. Blissful Hayes says, 3rd straight horrible decision by Matt Ishbia. First one, trading Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson and draft picks. Second was firing Monty. 3rd is hiring Frank. Okay. I guess we'll see. We'll see. The season is going to play out, and Frank Vogel is going to be the head coach, and we'll see what he does with this.
But I will say this about Frank Vogel. When you go back and forth with Eric Spoelstra, guess what you have to do in the playoff series? You got to adjust.
Yeah.
And fast.
Yeah.
And he did that.
I mean, we will see. We'll see how it works out. You are right about Mikhail and Cam, though. We've got to get some depth on the bench. I think that was a glaring spotlight for this Phoenix Suns franchise. But I think they know that. I think our GM knows that. I think our head coach knows that. I think Matt Ishbia knows that. I think James Jones has already got that, sketched out on his things to do this summer. Look for some depth for this team. The question marks for me was, what do you do with DeAndre Ayton? What do you do with Chris Paul? And how do you get some depth on this team? So I'm sure that's on his to-do list, as it were. 888-368-1580. Well, so did last night's game go about the way you thought, Keon? Boy, I got to tell you, I'll save my opinion until you share with me what you saw and what you thought of game one. Because, man, if it's like that tomorrow night, this series is over.
This series is about to be in a very rough spot. I'll say yes and no. It went how I thought, in that I knew that the Nuggets were going to show up. They were going to be dialed in. The rest I didn't think was going to bother them, because this team was on a mission and they played like it. I'm going to say no, because I didn't realize that the Denver Nuggets were just going to bully the Miami Heat from basically the moment that the ball tipped off till the end of the game. They pushed them around. And I think it's pretty obvious Miami's biggest problem in this series is that they're too little. That they're not big enough to guard this team.
Physicality was the name last night. That was the theme. And Mike Nolan had his team ready to go. They came out from the start. You're exactly right. And they bullied the Miami Heat. Miami was so afraid of Denver by the end of the game. Even when they had an open look to go to the basket, they stayed out beyond the three-point line. I saw 3 or 4 times when they could have gone in. There were lanes open. They could have attacked the basket, and they didn't do so. And I've got to attribute that because the Joker was in there just throwing people around. The Nuggets were just physically active. Man, this game was crazy last night. If Denver continues to play like that and Miami doesn't make, which I'm sure they will. Saturday night's got to be a different story. It's got to be a different story. All the Heat players, Jimmy Butler and everybody said, we did not get to the foul stripe. We did not attack the basket. And he said, we've got to attack the basket. So I expect the Heat to be completely different on Saturday night.
Yeah, and for the first 3 quarters of that game, Miami, who relies a lot on shooting threes, just wasn't hitting them. Max
they were
Strus had
flat.
a horrible game.
Yeah.
Gabe Vincent had a pretty awful showing. It's just that Miami team. I don't think we're going to see them look like that 2 games in a row. I find that difficult to believe. But boy, they looked like a team that didn't know what to do with how big and how physical Denver was. And Bam is their center, and Bam is 6'9", and Bam would be on Denver's starting lineup. Bam would be the 3rd tallest guy. That's a problem.
Jokic with his third, is it his third? No. How many triple doubles has he had in this playoffs? Not third. It's I don't know why I said third. He's had several triple doubles, unstoppable triple double tear through the postseason.
Mm-hmm.
Jason Kidd is the only one to make their NBA Finals debut with a triple double, and that's what Jokic did last night. 27, 14, and 10. And did you see his passing? I mean, I knew he was a good passer before, but last night was just incredible.
It's a clinic. Like, if you're a kid and you want to know what high-level passing looks like, I mean, watch these NBA Finals and specifically watch Nikola Jokic.
Jokic, I thought it was watching Larry Bird last night. I'll be honest with you. Larry Bird or Magic Johnson last night with the way he was passing the ball. It harkened me back to a time when the Lakers and Celtics were something and Bird and Magic were going at it. But wow, I mean, what a game last night. Wow.
That's a tough team. And the way that they moved the basketball, the way that they set screens, they didn't respect Miami's shooting at all. Jokic spent most of the game in drop coverage. There's just so much happening in favor of Denver. And I there's some of that stuff like the pick and roll with Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic. I'm sure Eric Spoelstra will figure something out because he's a brilliant coach, but that thing looks unsolvable to me.
It was a beautiful thing to watch. It was absolutely beautiful to watch. So Miami Heat goes down 104-93 before the sold-out crowd. And the energy, the excitement will be there again in game 2 coming up Saturday night when these two teams match up. But what do you do if you're Eric Spoelstra? What do you do other than tell your guys, look, get ball, go to basket. You've got to draw some fouls. You got to get on the foul line. You've got to slow this Denver rush down. I mean, this was a gold rush last night. I mean, these guys were running Miami all over the place and stealing the ball and takeaways and turnovers. Wow.
Yeah. And I mean, I understand that Michael Porter Jr. was playing great defense and he was on Jimmy Butler like, you know, the white on rice. He was just absolutely covering him. And it made life tough for Jimmy. But Jimmy's got to be more aggressive because you were talking about how they weren't going to the basket. Specifically, Jimmy wasn't going to the basket. And that's just not like him, what we've seen. Jimmy looked really tentative out there. There were shots that he didn't want to take. You know, he was open on a couple of those shots. He swung it over to Strus for 3 instead of just taking the open jumper that he already had. There was one drive where he went to the basket, panicked, and just threw the ball to Bam, who was not expecting it at all because he wasn't really open either. And he had a guy open in the corner. If you're going to throw that pass out there, maybe go to the corner 3 where, I think it was Duncan Robinson that was open. Jimmy looked all out of sorts, 13 points, didn't play well, didn't look aggressive. And he's the leader of this team. He's the head of the snake. If he's not playing aggressively, Miami's not playing aggressively.
Yeah, when Bam Adebayo is your leading scorer for the Heat, and he had 26 points, Jimmy Butler only had 13. I mean, that is an off night for the Miami Heat.
And as much as Bam did his part on the offensive side of the ball, Bam's in trouble because Bam was trying to figure out, how do I guard Jokic? Oh no, how do I guard Aaron Gordon? How do I guard Michael Porter Jr.?
Yeah,
all of these guys are taller than him. All of them.
And then you go on the other side, you go on the other line score, and I mean, 27 from Nikola, 26 from Jamal, and Jamal had 18 points by the end of the first half. He did most of his damage, right off the top. Aaron Gordon, 16 points. Michael Porter Jr., 14 points. Even the youngsters got involved. Contavious Caldwell-Pope got 7 points.
And the thing with Aaron Gordon, I thought Aaron Gordon was the X factor for Denver because Aaron Gordon is the guy that's the worst shooter on the floor for Denver. And they kept finding mismatches against Miami all night long. Caleb Martin is not big enough to guard him. Gabe Vincent is not big enough to guard him. Jimmy Butler is not big enough to guard him. And when all of those guys had to try and figure out how to stop him in the post, guess what Miami can't do? You can't afford to double Aaron Gordon and leave any of those other shooters open. So they didn't. And Aaron Gordon, those 16 points were like the easiest 16 points that Denver scored all night.
I have to tell you, the statistic that stands out, and I think we've already touched on it, but just to kind of drive that point home, free throws last night, Denver was 16 of 20. That's 80% from the free throw line. Miami Heat, they shot 100% because they only shot it twice, 2 times to the free throw line. Wow.
They weren't driving to the basket.
And they were not hitting field goals. They were not hitting 3-pointers at 13 of 39. 13 of 39. The Heat, for me, they live and die a bit too much by the 3-pointer. And I would imagine they're going to change things up and make some adjustments for game 2. But boy, I don't even know if Spoelstra makes adjustments. What are you going to do? I mean, Denver looked like the perfect team last night. And I don't want to say perfect like perfect, but I mean perfect. That was a well executed basketball game last night by the Denver Nuggets. Motivated, energized, had the crowd going. You know, Nikola looked like a hitman coming in his blue suit. No smile on his face. There was no jocularity, no joking around. These were workmen, and they were at work last night. And they put some work on the Heat last night. It'll be interesting to see. I think overall this should be a good series, but boy, if Denver has another game like this on Saturday night, this series is over.
Because they haven't shown that they fail to put their foot, on the neck of their opponents and just finish the job. The Nuggets have done that this whole playoff run.
I must break you. That's what you're going to hear Nikola say. All right, we're up against a break. Let's take a break. On the other side, more NBA news. We got some information about the Ja Morant investigation and a whole lot more. It's the Daily Blender, kids. Come on back here on 1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic.
My friend and I are taking a trip to Mexico this year, but neither of us speak Spanish. So we downloaded Babbel and started learning Spanish fast.
Want to start getting conversational in another language in as little as 3 weeks? Babbel's quick 10-minute lessons were designed by language experts to be the most efficient and effective way to learn a new language.
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿Cómo te llamas?
Babbel, language for life, celebrating 10 million subscriptions sold. Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. That's Babbel.com.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-279-0433 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-279-0433. That's 800-279-0433. What do you have to lose? Call 800-279-0433. Again, 800-279-0433.
What if I told you there's a firm that will create a customized portfolio and financial plan for you and offer a 100% satisfaction guarantee? Think it doesn't exist? Think again.
Hi, I'm Mo Ansari, president of Compact Asset Management. When you start a new relationship with Compact, we'll create your customized investment portfolio and financial plan dedicated to help you reach your goals. Try us out for a year. If you're not happy for any reason, you'll get all of the management and maintenance fee that you paid refunded. This is our 100% satisfaction guarantee.
Call Compact Asset Management at 800-388-9700 to find out more. That's 800-388-9700. Satisfaction guarantee doesn't apply to fees and commissions charged by third parties for such things as insurance products or mutual fund redemptions. It also doesn't apply to any market losses which might occur in an account. For additional information regarding this guarantee, please see the disclosure brochure available at the time you enroll or upon request.
Compact Asset Management is a registered investment advisor. Funds custodian, Fidelity Institutional Wealth Services, member FINRA SIPC.
When you run a business, you need to be in control. And while you can't control everything that happens in the world of business, you can definitely take control of your utility expenses with the help of Harmon Solar. Give them a call and see how your company can save up to 80% on that monthly electric bill with zero down and no payments for 12 months. Harmon Solar is a local family-owned company that uses top-of-the-line equipment. Call Harmon Solar, 800-281-3189. That's 800-281-3189. Or go to harmonsolar.com.
Professional announcer here, and I'd like to get real with you for a moment. All across the country, and even in our own town, there are people who have to go without, perhaps even you, having to go without hearing all of our shows. It's tragic, but there is help. Just listen to our podcast wherever you get your podcasts, or at 1580thefanatic.com.
It's a Daily Blender for a Friday, June 2nd here on 1580 and 99.3. The Fanatic. Let's go to the text line, clean up some text here. 888-368-1580. Silver Pop says, good afternoon, gentlemen. Happy Friday. Don't know how to feel about the Suns getting the Lakers' sloppy seconds. I'm feeling numb with my Arizona Cardinals and Phoenix Suns. They just seem to be too much uncertainty. Anyway, Randy, we can welcome the Suns' new head coach. Can we please get a burn in hell Lakers, please? Absolutely.
Burn in hell, Lakers.
I can do that for you.
Burn in hell, Lakers. Shut the hell up, Ralph.
Ralph not with us today. He took an unscheduled trip to Texas. Couldn't be with us today. Not sure why. Did you smell that, though, when you got up today? The air was a little clearer.
Sure was.
Your lunch, did that taste a little better today, Keon?
Little fresher.
Mm.
Yeah, it was perfect.
Boy, just walking around with a spring in my step. This is what it feels like to be in first place of the National League West, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. Okay. Where am I? Big George says, hello, gentlemen. Happy Friday, TGIF. So, are we happy with the Frank Vogel hiring? I mean, I like it, but I see a lot of Suns hate on Twitter for the hiring. You know, haters are going to hate, and people are just going to say what they need to say. And that's okay, Big George, because people have opinions. You have opinions. I have opinions. Keon's got opinions. But I think overall, in my opinion, I think this is a good hire. Keon, what say you? Overall, what do you think?
I think it's a really good hire. I think Frank Vogel is a damn good coach. I've liked him since his days in Indy. I thought he did a great job when he was with the Lakers as well. Again, they had like the number 1 defense in the league multiple times in LA, multiple times in Indy. And the only time when he didn't have a top, 5, top 6 defense with one of his teams that could win a title, that was like the year the Lakers gave him Russell Westbrook and said, hey, figure out what to do with this. And by the way, the coach Darvin Ham that Laker fans love so much, he didn't know what to do with Russell Westbrook either. Like the guy just wasn't a good fit for the team.
Yeah.
So I didn't even think that Frank Vogel should have been fired in Los Angeles. I just thought that one was someone had to fall on the sword, and it was him.
I mean, we didn't get Nick Nurse. We had the Suns assistant, the Monty Williams assistant. What's his name? Young. And I guess the team is hoping that he stays on Frank Vogel's staff as an assistant. I understand Booker and him get along very well. But you don't know what this kid's going to do, this young coach. You don't know what he's going to do.
And remember, the Raptors are the only coaching job left open. If the Raptors like him, that's their MO. They like to hire kind of young up and comers. So,
I mean, Vogel, at least Vogel brings some experience with him. It's one of those damned if you do, damned if you don't things. I mean, people are going to hate no matter what. It's just the way it goes. Lost Toby says Suns fans hate to hate themselves or love to hate themselves. Frank Vogel, probably the best option out there. Yeah, I think you're right. Blissful Hayes, CP3 should do some roids to reclaim his youth. Damn, I'm funny. Ha, 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 ha.
If you have to say it.
I mean, I'm glad at least one of us thinks
that's a good point.
Funny.
Good point.
Mr. Wilbur says, Miami couldn't chew their way out of a paper bag last night unless they had John Elway's front teeth. That's a good point. That's a damn good point right there. Even then. Let's see. Chief Skoll says, I told the guys at work with that Miami and even Boston, if they won't match up, they couldn't match up with Denver. Denver's a bigger all-around team, can still run too if needed. Basically, the two-headed monster. If you don't know which end to attack. Yeah, Denver is just—they're playing some great basketball right now. Just live and just. I was looking at the other day, just amazing basketball right now. I mean, last night, I didn't see any flub ups on Denver's parts. I don't think they missed anything. They've got to be feeling good today. And it's going to be it's going to be his duty. It's going to be his job to keep them in line, keep them motivated. Right, Keon? I mean, what do you think he's doing today? He's like, we have not accomplished anything yet, gentlemen. What do you think he's doing?
He's saying exactly that. I mean, we heard it before game one. They were giving all of the respect to the Miami Heat. They weren't thinking like this was a team. Oh, look, this 8 seed showed up. You know, this upstart group of guys. Look that they don't have, outside of Jimmy Butler, they don't really have any superstars. They could have said all that stuff and it would have been true, but that's not how they look at it. They look at it as, look, you're talented enough to get to the finals. Guess what? We've got to beat you like you're the best team in the league. We've got to take it to you just that way. And they treated Miami like that last night. And I think that they're going to treat them like that this entire series.
King of Kittens on the text line says, podcast? Live and local, gentlemen. Live and local. Not sure what you mean.
I think he was referring to the commercial about how some of our shows are also podcasted. But that's, you know,
I think all our shows are podcasted.
Yeah. If you miss, hour 2 of the show because you got to run around and do some errands and you want to know, or maybe you missed hour 1 and we were talking about Frank Vogel and you wanted to know what the thoughts were on that, you could go back and listen to it. That doesn't mean that you're not live.
I mean, if you want to listen to a really good guy like Keon and some untalented hack like myself.
I don't know about that.
CK says, good afternoon, fellas. Weather Daddy, beer me, please. All right, here we go. And I like the vocal hire as long as we can get a couple more shooters around Brook and KD. Defense will be fine. And I told you Joker abuses the Heat. Yeah, you did. You did, and he did last night. I can hear him now. He's probably in the scrums, some of the scrums underneath the hoop. He's probably, it's nothing personal. I must break you. I'm sure because he's a nice guy. He's genuinely a nice dude. But he was throwing dudes around like nothing.
And it wasn't just him. And it's funny because we gave Jimmy a lot of credit for how intense he's been all playoffs and how the Miami Heat took on his intensity. That toughness from Joker, Aaron Gordon looked like a mini Joker. He was just throwing people around.
Yeah.
Poor Gabe Vincent. Here's when I knew that Miami wasn't winning that game last night. When the Nuggets are coming up on offense and Jimmy realized that he was going to be matched up against Aaron Gordon, and then he tried to point to somebody else to guard him. That was it. I knew it. In that exact moment, nobody wants to be thrown around by these dudes anymore.
And they did. They bullied him.
They beat him up.
Hefty Lefty's on the text line at 888-368-1580. I don't have anything bad to say about Vogel. Thought he was fine as a coach. Rotations weren't great towards the end of his Lakers tenure, but he wasn't working with a great roster. And who knows how much LeBron was influencing things. That's a good point.
Yeah, and the rumors are out there that the reason that he got fired was because, they're trying to make LeBron happy.
Jagdog says, if Vogel is so good, how come the Suns were his only interview? I don't know that it was.
I don't think anybody knows that it was.
I didn't follow Frank Vogel around to see where he was interviewing, what he was doing. Maybe he wasn't interviewing. Maybe the Suns reached out to him.
I mean, we live here, so we were focused on the Suns finalists. I don't know what the short list was for Philadelphia. I don't know what that short list was for other teams.
Maybe he turned down other interviews. I don't know. And again, I'll just take the wait and see kind of approach. I like the fact that he's got some history behind him. And we know what to expect from him. I do like that. I like that he's been in the league and he's been a head coach before.
And I like that he's worked with big guys that no one else has been able to get anything out of. Frank Vogel got more out of Roy Hibbert than anybody else ever. What did Roy Hibbert do after Frank Vogel? I'll wait. Nothing. He did nothing. And so there's a chance.
I thought you were going to wait.
Well, I'm impatient. That's a weakness of mine.
So you weren't really waiting because I was going to hit the clock. I never get to hit the clock. Can I hit the clock?
You can hit the clock. I will.
How long are we waiting?
A couple more seconds.
2001, 2002. All right. I can't wait anymore.
There it is. Nothing. He didn't do anything. So if you want to see what Frank Vogel might be able to do with a DeAndre Ayton, who's more talented than Roy Hibbert, by the way, I would be interested in seeing that.
Big George is on the text line, 888-368-1580. I'm glad you and Keon like the hire because I felt alone in my joy of the Suns hiring Frank Vogel. To me, the only bad hire would have been Doc Rivers, and I'm glad Matt Ishbia did not hire him. That's a good statement right there, Big George.
Would have been horrible.
I don't think, if you think people don't like Frank Vogel, if they would have offered Doc Rivers 31 at 5 years, like I think that's what Frank's getting, 31 or 32 over 5.
Mm-hmm.
We wouldn't be on the air today. There'd be riots in the street, I have a feeling.
I agree.
They would have torn our towers down.
He was the one unanimously disliked candidate. You couldn't have hired him.
And I don't dislike him. He just can't finish.
He's a good dude, but he gets to the second round and then he gets knocked out of the second round. Conference finals, what's that? Doc Rivers hasn't been to one of those in ages.
And he says the same thing every time. Well, I don't know. We just didn't, I don't know. Billy Ray from Avondale said, compared to how Jokic is dominating the entire playoffs, I'm sure that the fans will find a way to blame Ayton. Hashtag keep Ayton.
Actually, in retrospect, as bad as Ayton was in that playoff run, outside of Anthony Davis, I can't think of a single center who looked better against Nikola Jokic.
Hamilton Porter, Jokic basically goes full on Ivan Drago once the whistle blows. He goes Ivan Drago. I must break you. Love it. Somewhere, Sylvester Stallone just shivered. King of Kittens, Bill Sharman, Paul Westhead, Frank Vogel are the Lakers coaches with one championship ring. Thank you.
All right.
I think. Blissful Hay says, I believe the NBA should get rid of the 3-point shot and ban players permanently if they speak to the refs. The whining by players makes it unwatchable. Today's game has become boring with players just standing around chucking up threes.
But
wow,
is that what the Nuggets were doing?
I thought the Nuggets played a wonderful game last night. Now the Heat, on the other hand, I will agree with you there. But producer Cecil the Wonder Dog agrees with you as well, Blissful Hayes.
But I will say the 3-point thing, that would be silly because the game would be absolutely unwatchable without a 3-point line. Because at that point, the spacing's just done. And Miami, to their eternal credit, this is the game that got them to the finals. This is the game they have to play. They don't have stars. You shoot a lot of threes when you don't have that. When your starters are Gabe Vincent, Caleb Martin, and Max Strus, 3 guys we wouldn't have dreamed about talking about in an NBA Finals. You wouldn't start those guys on any other team in a conference finals, but they did, and they won, and they're here. So maybe the 3-point line has some value because that's how Miami got here.
Well, I mean, he brings up something that I want to talk about in the next hour. He brings up something that I want to. There has been some talk. I'll tell you. I don't want to go there right now. Well, maybe. Well, I don't know. There's been some talk by those, even one player, and I want to leave it until I can get there. But there's been some talk about changing the game, like eliminating the halftime. I don't know about getting rid of the 3-point, but getting rid of halftime. Hey, listen, I kind of like. We're going to talk about that after the break when we come back here on this Friday edition of the Daily Blender. You're texting in at 888-36. Who is Roy Hibbert? Blissful Hayes? That's the guy that he was that Iowa farmer, and he had them cornfields, and the banks were coming to take his cornfields. Remember? And then if you build it, they will come. If you build it, they will come. And then all these the guys came out of the corn. And they played ball in his farm. That's who Roy Hibbert is. Pretty sure. I might be. I'm gonna have to fact check that. Let me do that during the break. This is the Daily Blender on the Fanatic.
This is Jason Hanson. I'm a former CIA officer and best-selling author on safety and preparedness. The fact is, things are getting downright scary for everyone who's storing their wealth in the banks. We just saw the collapse of 3 major banks, and I would urge you to consider protecting your wealth ASAP. If even a tiny percentage of Americans attempt to withdraw their savings, we would see a collapse of the entire banking system, sending us into a modern-day Great Depression. Fortunately, there is a way for you to avoid this. It starts with contacting Advantage Gold. If you have an IRA or 401k, Advantage Gold can help convert those paper assets into physical gold and silver. This is the process that I recommend everybody use as a hedge against rapid inflation and to protect your retirement wealth from the banks. Take control of your financial safety today. Call 800-900-8000 to get your free gold investment kit from Advantage Gold. Call 800-900-8000. That's 800-900-8000.
Advantage Gold is not an investment advisor or a tax advisor. Consult with your financial advisor before investing.
Call 800-900-8000.
When it comes to covering the high school sports scene in Arizona, AZ Preps 365 has all the answers. Every Saturday morning from 8 until 10, they break down games, interview the newsmakers, talk with coaches from around the state, and stay up to date with what's happening with prep athletes and breaking news from the Arizona prep scene. It's AZ Preps 365, 8 till 10 Saturday mornings on 1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic, and always on at 1580thefanatic.com.
ADOT's I-10 Broadway Curve Improvement Project is in the works. It's an 11-mile stretch of Interstate 10 between Loop 202 and I-17. When complete, your travel time through the area will be reduced. Access to Sky Harbor, retail centers, and colleges will be improved, and the region will be able to better support a growing economy and more. Keep up with the project and traffic updates at i10broadwaycurve.com and stay ahead of the curve. This message is sponsored by the Arizona Department of Transportation.
Have you ever cut your own hair? Do you do your own car repairs? Would you ever consider performing surgery on yourself? Of course not. So why would you manage your own money? True, you don't have to pay yourself a fee, but do you have the skills and experience to effectively grow your money consistently and safely in up and down markets?
Hi, I'm Mo Ansari, host of Market Wrap and president of Compact Asset Management. Over the years, I've seen a lot of do-it-yourself mishaps. You work so hard for the money, perhaps it's time to let someone else work hard to help you keep that money. At Compact Asset Management, we focus on growing your money safely and consistently. Call me at 1-800-388-9700 and make an appointment for a free portfolio review. Together, we can help you reach your financial goals. Call 1-800-388-9700. That's 1-800-388-9700.
Compact Asset Management is a registered investment advisor. Funds custodian, Fidelity Institutional Wealth Services, member FINRA SIPC.
Live from the Harmon Solar Studios in Scottsdale.
This is KQFN Tempe.
Also transmitting on K250 Phoenix at 99.3 FM.
And K240 U Fountain Hills at 95.9 FM.
All right, people, settle down.
Because it's time
for what? Showtime.
When does it start?
Right now. 3, 2, 1.
Let's get on with the show. Let's do it.
It is the Daily Blender on 1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic as we broadcast live from the CRC Broadcasting Megaplex in Scottsdale and the Harmon Solar Studios. We're heading into the 4 o'clock hour here as we're working our way towards the weekend. Everybody's working for the weekend. You know, that song doesn't really, I don't think it's valid because so many people work the weekend. Keon, you work on the weekend, right? I mean, you do a shift on Saturday, right?
Yeah, and then some other things here and there.
So I think Loverboy lied when they should have to give all their money back. Speaking of that, the NFL. I'm sorry. You're the fourth to mention texting in at 888-368-1580 on the text line. Speaking of that, the NFLPA, they're all about money, you know. And other things, helping players. But apparently the NFLPA reportedly has been unable to collect $41.8 million in revenue from One Team Partners LLC, which the NFLPA disclosed in its annual report to the U.S. Department of Labor. According to the Athletics' Daniel Kaplan, that could mean a loss of around $200,000 per active NFL player. One Team Partners works with sports unions like the NFLPA, the MLBPA, the MLSPA, the WNBPA, and the U.S. Women's National Soccer Team on licensing, marketing, and investing. That, according to the company's website. It paid the NFLPA $66 million and the MLBPA $36.4 million in 2022, per The Athletic. Neither one team or the two sports unions commented to The Athletic when asked about the missing revenue. But what they're saying, while most of the $42 million is missing money, it's a relatively large number. The Athletic noted it doesn't mean the NFLPA will go broke. The annual report stated the union has more than $1 billion in assets, certainly enough to continue operations. However, this potential loss is just the most recent example of the sports world's big miss with cryptocurrency and NFTs. $42 million.
Gone. Up in smoke.
Cryptocurrency.
Never to be retrieved again.
How much you want to bet Steph Curry, Shaq, Tom Brady, those guys were not paid in cryptocurrency?
I sure hope not.
How much you think that Aaron Rodgers lost? Because didn't he give you like a $5 in cryptocurrency?
I can tell you what the money I have. I just keep it. I look at it every so often and chuckle to myself.
Yeah.
Because Aaron Rodgers was doing this promotion where he was sending anybody who asked $10 in Bitcoin.
Oh, $10 in Bitcoin. Okay.
And since he gave the $10, I asked because I figured, $10, why not?
Yeah.
It's now worth $4.32.
Wow.
It's not even half of what it was.
Damn. One team would have expected around $60 million from Dapper and DraftKings. Of that, $41 million would go to the NFLPA. The source told The Athletic. Now, NFTs are relatively new, so most of the money typically comes from Madden and trading cards. So you trading cards guys out there, you like those new digital trading cards where you pay in digital currency and you get these digital playing card. I don't even know how it works because there's no way on God's green earth that I was going to start buying digital trading cards. And you know why? This right here.
And I don't know all of the details. So forgive me if I anger a crypto person, but I like it's supposed to work that every card, because of the way that the information is stored on a ledger somewhere out there on the internet, each card is unique. So the card you have, there aren't copies of that. But couldn't be me. I mean,
I don't mind there being copies of my cards, but I have to tell you, I have cards. They're in my possession. They're not made up of ones and zeros. I don't peruse them on my computer screen.
It's not a non-fungible token. It's an actual card I have in my house.
I have it. I can hold it in my hands. Look, again, I probably will get in trouble. Everybody, they jumped on me about Barry Bonds yesterday. They'll probably jump on me about this. Look, I'm not against moving along or technology. I am against stupidity. I am completely against stupidity. Come on, man. Trading cards that are digital, like nothing can ever happen.
And then to get the money, and the money's also purely digital. I understand, you got money in your bank and that's digital to a degree, but it's regulated.
And now nobody's guaranteeing that digital Bitcoin that you have. Nobody.
It's just gone. It's gone.
Where did it go?
I mean, that's a great question. Ask Odell Beckham Jr. where it went, because maybe he could figure out what happened to his contract. that he got paid in Bitcoin for.
Oh, that's the damn Illuminati. That's who's behind this. It's the Illuminati. $41 million. They just made a cool $41 million. The Illuminati did. And by the way, I won't eat at Lou Malnati's because it sounds a lot like Illuminati.
And they got the MLBPA too for 37 mil.
888-368-1580. Telling you, man, it's Illuminati.
The moment that I saw crypto, I was like, I do not trust that. I got to see some people use that for like 15 years first successfully. And even then, I'm be very cautious.
You know, I get it. You're thinking, I could get it on the ground floor. This thing's going to go crazy. I'm going to make bank. I'm going to buy my own island just off the shore of the Hawaiian Islands. I'm going to buy another island out there that is yet to be charted. That's going to be my island.
The thing is, it already existed. By the time we started seeing commercials about it,
yeah,
people were already in on the ground floor. All the money that people really made, they already made that. We're seeing it in the Super Bowl. Do you think that that's new?
Brooks Koepka on the text line says, the LIV pays me in Bitcoin. God.
Brooksy, no.
That's why Brooks has to keep coming back and play PGA majors. He's got to make some real money.
Yeah. The LIV paid him a lot of money, but it was in Bitcoin, so he lost it all.
Meanwhile,
it's all gone.
Meanwhile, the Illuminati. 888-368-1580. Speaking of crazy, I teased it before the break. There is some talk out there. I think it was it Blissful Hayes? Blissful Hayes, I think, said something about getting rid of the 3-point line. We talked about that a little bit, but recently, Jeff Van Gundy, who, by the way, I don't know if he's a hero or a psycho, but he's one of them. But Jeff Van Gundy went on a rant there a while ago, and he's talking about saying that the NBA halftime is pointless. The league would be wise to eliminate the 15-minute break. Well, now a notable NBA player is on board with him. Damian Lillard says, I agree with Van Gundy on halftime. He thinks that halftime is a waste of time. The whole idea of what goes on at halftime, I think it's so misunderstood, Van Gundy told the outlet that I got this article from. It's a lot of either praising on what just happened or correcting, but you could do that in 2 minutes on the bench in an elongated timeout. And then, of course, in a twist of irony, they have some guy playing a violin surrounded by Laker girls. Jeff Van Gundy and Damian Lillard feel halftime is too long and drawn out. Biggest waste of time, quote unquote.
I don't know. I mean, I like the halftime. You get up, you go to the fridge, you grab some snacks, you grab.
Well, you do, but they could have a 5-minute timeout, you know?
Yeah.
And players could go to the bathroom, make a few adjustments, physically and, with the game.
You could, but I don't know. This is spoken like a couple of guys who have never gone to an NBA game as fans. And you get up at halftime to go get some food from wherever in the stadium and then try to make it back to your seat before the third quarter starts. Halftime's already barely long enough to do that. Now you're going to shorten that?
He also says he should save the free throws for the fourth quarter.
Oh, boy. This is the one I actually
eliminate free throws until the last 4 minutes of the game.
Oh, my God. If
you get fouled on a shooting foul, you just get the points. You don't go to the line, and you don't get to go to the line for technical free throws.
We already don't trust NBA officials. Do you know how much power you give them if you just get the points every time you get fouled?
The only person that likes free throws, according to Van Gundy, is a play-by-play announcer because they can wax poetically about some story. It's the extra point of the NBA. It serves no rational or reasonable purpose. Now, where's my hot dogs? Can I get a hot dog?
I appreciate Van Gundy because he is his own thinker. He's got his own ideas, and he didn't copy them from anywhere, and that they're all his. But man, that's insane. Like, it's not the extra point of the NBA. The whole reason why a lot of people don't like the extra point is because they make it like 95% of the time. People don't make 95% of their free throws, not unless they're like KD or Steph.
I mean, look at Van Gundy. I mean, in this picture here, look, his neck is overgrown with hair. It's obvious he doesn't go to a barber. He does his own hair. I mean, look, his tie is a little crooked here. See, I like this guy. If I was going bald like him, I wouldn't go to like Supercuts or anything. Hell, I would do my own hair. You just get the clippers up. Bzz, bzz. But that neck, man, somebody's got to take care of that. That's like a Wolfman neck there.
That's kind of an issue. You're on TV, my guy. So one of the things too is that I like about Jeff Van Gundy is as close as the ESPN's going to get to Charles Barkley. Yeah. And I don't understand why they don't put him in studio. He should be saying this ridiculous stuff like at halftime.
Are you kidding me?
It would be way more fun.
Oh, I think so.
Instead of when he breaks into the game to come up with some of these ideas.
Yeah. Like, how come the blimp never flies over the announcer's table here? I'd like some free gifts too. Jeez. Van Gundy quickly becoming one of my heroes. Jeff Van Gundy.
He's great. He should never change.
But you have some credibility now on the halftime thing with Dame Lillard. Dame feels the same way. You shouldn't have a halftime.
If you've got a player saying it, then maybe that might actually carry some weight. I'm just saying, as a fan who has gone to games, when you get up to go eat or go use the bathroom, and you have to wade through the sea of people that are also going, and then struggle to get back to your seat. I mean, if you're lucky, you'll get back before the third quarter starts. If you shorten that, you're just missing the game. I don't know how else to do that.
888-368-1580. King of Kittens. Getting rid of halftime? What? That's not going to happen. Not going to happen on my watch. They sell too many beers at halftime. Well, thanks, King of Kittens. Have you thought about maybe buying? You're going to spend the money anyway. I'm just saying, stock up before you go down to your seats. You see what I'm saying? That's all I'm trying to say. Blissful Hayes says NBA needs a 3-second rule beyond the 3-point line. There's way too much standing by players these days, waiting to shoot a three. It's not good basketball. All right, I could see that. What about a shot clock violation?
I disagree. That's coaching.
Well, they have a shot clock, or they have a time violation when the ball is being inbounded. They have a time violation to get it over the center line stripe. Why not a time violation in the 3-point world?
And you're going to just put a time on.
Well, you have to move the ball around.
Well, the problem is if a guy's in the paint and there are guys just standing out there, are you going to give them the violation? Like the ball already moves around. I don't like this because what you're doing essentially is you're trying to police how teams play the game. And if you are a bad enough coach that you've got guys just standing there, nobody cuts to the basket, nobody sets a screen for anybody, nobody's moving around in the flow of the offense, that's bad coaching. That's bad, player execution.
If you had 10 seconds to get it out of the 3-point and get it across the 3-point stripe or shoot.
And then do what? Like, what if and then go back? No, the 3-point line.
Put it back there again.
The 3-point line has made this game so much better once people actually figured out how to use it.
I agree they've made it better, but I kind of agree there are some games where guys are just standing out there. There's 3 guys beyond the 3-point stripe. Then you got a guy down low in the post, and you got somebody standing off to the right. And they're just kind of looking at each other. I think at least it makes you move the ball around.
Yeah, but I mean, look at the way the Warriors do it. They do that, and it's successful for them. If you move the ball, like Denver does, like Golden State does, you're more likely to be successful.
So then you agree with me. There should be a time. I
agree that teams should just figure out to do that. I don't agree that there should be a timer.
Oh, I think there should be a timer.
Because how would you even implement
I want to
that?
see
So
the ref's arm making that move again.
You
know,
dribble inside the 3-point line and then dribble back out.
Yeah.
Like people kind of do with the key.
Hell yeah.
They step out and then step back in.
Hey, I have no problem with that.
I just don't understand how that would even work.
Because then now you're making the guy move. He's not just standing there looking around.
But the guys that are standing there aren't the guys dribbling. It's the guys that don't have the ball that stand there. Are you going to make them move inside and out of the 3-point line?
Just the guy with the ball.
But the guy with the ball usually isn't standing there. It's the guys. It's the guys that don't have the ball that stand and watch it.
I think they're kind of looking around, trying to draw up plays on the fly.
I don't know about that. I that's not what I see in the NBA. The guy with the ball is usually not the guy with the problem.
All right.
Standing out of the three, in my opinion.
You watch way more basketball than me, including that WNBA. I submit to what you're saying, but I just think it would be more fun. They put in a pitch clock, making pitchers throw within 18 seconds. I'm just saying. Shoes on the other foot now. It's not so fun, is it?
People didn't. I mean, I don't know, because we already have clocks for everything. We already have a halftime clock and an inbound clock and a 3 in the key and a 24-second shot. We've got 4 clocks in basketball.
Get rid of the halftime. Get rid of it. I'm with Van Gundy on this one. Let's get rid of it. We don't need fiddle players.
I will say this, though, about the halftime.
Red star throwing plates up on her head on a unicide. We don't need all that stuff.
Some of these games where they're starting the game at like 10 o'clock, then you might want to consider getting rid of the halftime.
There we go.
you can't have people staying up until 1, on the East Coast or whatever. And 30 minutes of that was just spent with a guy on a unicycle, just juggling, some bowling pins. You gotta pick and choose your battles here.
Brooks Koepka, I think he agrees with me. Golf doesn't have halftime, and our 9s take 2 hours. We don't need a Zamboni on the court either. Let's hoop.
Well, hockey players do need the Zamboni. That's just
Twitty. Don't forget about how much money the league makes on commercials during halftime. Well, that's going to change, isn't it? Between me and Van Gundy, we're taking away halftime. We're gonna barricade ourselves inside Silver's office until he listens.
I know, maybe somebody can glue themselves to the floor like that one lady in the Timberwolves game a year ago.
Hamilton Porter. Did you see another lady did that? Glued herself to the road. So a guy comes out there with a jackhammer and jackhammers around her hand. Gave her ear protection and eye protection and just and then picked her up and moved her out of the way with this big giant chunk of asphalt.
Look, he even gave her a souvenir. That was very kind of him.
Here you go, miss. Let me get you out of harm's way.
Nice big chunk of gravel for you.
Hamilton Porter, Jeff Van Gundy, better than his Ron Jeremy lookalike brother. Okay, I could see that.
A little bit, yeah. Stan Van does kind of, yeah. Oh boy. Not going to be able to unsee that.
Rando, have you seen the girl selling halftime beers? I missed the third quarter to talk to her. Well, let's see. That's you, King of Kittens. I don't need to talk to the beer girl.
She's working,
My life is fulfilled. I miss Ken, but you, on the other hand, I don't know. Boomer Sooner. Hello, gents. Can I get a cold beer? And the weather is. Oh, never mind. Here you go, Boomer Sooner. But we've got no softball score from you today. The ladies playing today, or are they off today? Blissful Hayes. I'm talking about the 4 other players who don't have the ball. Shouldn't be just camped beyond 3-point line the entire 24 seconds clock. Cut to the basket, man. Cut to the basket.
But that's a coaching issue. That's not the problem with the 3-point line. Because you know what they were doing in the 90s? They were standing inside the 3-point line and staring at the guy with the ball.
They were cutting to the basket, man.
Were they? I remember watching entire possessions of Kobe Bryant dribbling the ball and 4 LA Lakers just standing and watching Kobe work. Now, I understand watching a master at his craft.
That was Kobe. I mean,
but it happened for Tracy McGrady, happened for Vince Carter, happened for Allen Iverson. I remember growing up with this. The guys weren't just. Now you actually have the space to cut to the basket. Your coach has to actually coach you to do that, or use your basketball sense and see where the lane is to cut.
Miss Kim is cooking. I'm from the home studio today. Miss Kim is cooking something. It smells good. I have to go see what it is. Let's take a break. When we come back, we've got a little bit more NBA stuff to talk about, some updates on the Ja Morant investigation, and a whole lot more. It's the Daily Blender on 1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic.
Finding great people to hire can be like trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Their powerful matching technology delivers so many qualified candidates. It's like finding a needle in a needle stack. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. For less hay and more needles, head to ZipRecruiter.
And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. At ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
When you run a business, you need to be in control. And while you can't control everything that happens in the world of business, you can definitely take control of your utility expenses with the help of Harmon Solar. Give them a call and see how your company can save up to 80% on that monthly electric bill with 0 down and no payments for 12 months. Harmon Solar is a local family-owned company that uses top-of-the-line equipment. Call Harmon Solar, 800-281-3189. That's 800-281-3189. Or go to harmonsolar.com.
My friend and I are taking a trip to Mexico this year, but neither of us speak Spanish. So we downloaded Babbel and started learning Spanish fast.
Want to start getting conversational in another language in as little as 3 weeks? Babbel's quick 10-minute lessons were designed by language experts to be the most efficient and effective way to learn a new language.
¿Cómo te llamas? ¿Cómo te llamas?
Babbel, language for life, celebrating 10 million subscriptions sold. Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. That's Babbel.com.
A driver who isn't wearing their seatbelt may get a ticket. A driver who isn't wearing their seatbelt during a crash may not make it home. Don't risk it. Click it or ticket. Paid for.
Seems like everything is going electric these days. Electric cars, electric trucks. But what you save on gas, you pay for with that electric bill. With all these things being plugged into your house, wouldn't it be nice to save up to 85% on your monthly electric bill? Well, you can do that with 0 down and no payments for 12 months. Call Harmon Solar. Harmon Solar is a family-owned, woman-owned local company that uses top-of-the-line equipment. Call Harmon Solar, 800-281-3189. That's 800-281-3189. Or go to harmonsolar.com.
I'm Matt Damon. I'm Zachary Levi.
I'm Uzo Aduba.
Join Major League Baseball and Stand Up to Cancer as we stand in honor of all loved ones affected by this disease.
Visit standuptocancer.org/MLB.
Stand up with us.
Throw to the plate. Tag it out.
The Arizona Diamondbacks are off to a great start with young talent playing exciting baseball, competing with the best of the league. This team is full of confidence. How long will the surprising Snakes keep this pace up? What awaits the team now that we are in May when it comes to Diamondbacks baseball? Listen for all the news, information, trades, injury updates, and more. If it's local and it's Diamondbacks baseball, we talk about it. It's gone! 1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic.
Friday edition of the Daily Blender, working our way towards 6 o'clock, halfway through the 4 o'clock hour. Right over there, the sexiest man in sports talk radio, that's Keon Rose. Jeffrey O'Brien on assignment this week. He will be back Monday. Me, I'm your humble servant, Randy White, and we are moving on. I'm glad, we had a chance to actually fix some things today on the Daily Blender. We don't normally get a chance to fix things, but I think we've all come to the conclusion halftime needs to go away in the NBA. Pretty sure that's been, we're going to just go ahead. Keon, start up the weather jet. We're heading to New York, where Silver is. We're going to talk to him. Last optimist on the text line, 888-368-1580. Hope Gundy doesn't end up like his, like Ron Jeremy, involuntarily institutionalized ill loss of mental faculties from untreated syphilis. Really? I didn't know that happened to him. Of course, I don't follow Ron Jeremy that close. I mean, who does? Hamilton Porter. Yeah, college football no longer stopping the clock on incompletes and first downs to speed up the game. You know what would speed up the game? Get rid of the damn commercials. Well, now, wait a minute. I
you know, it would
appreciate-
eliminate the game too.
You know, it would eliminate the game. You know, it would eliminate the television industry from being part of it. King of Kittens. Washington beat Utah today in softball. Stanford playing Bama in an elimination game currently this evening. Utah and Oklahoma State play later in another elimination game. So if you want to see girls cry, the 4-letter network. No, I was King of Kittens. I was talking about women's softball because Boomer Sooner checked in. Oh, by the way, Boomer Sooner, did I pour your beer for you? I don't know if I did. Let me take care of that. But you know, Boomer Sooner's always hitting us on the text line saying, hey, the University of Oklahoma women are now 8,701. Big George, wait, who has untreated syphilis? Is that why Jeffrey's out? No. Stop the rumor right now, Big George. Jeffrey is on assignment. I mean, you should know that's industry news for he's on assignment. All right, 888-368-1580. College football is no secret. It is expanding. The SEC expanding, the Big Ten expanding. There was some talk today in an article, a very interesting article I was reading about the SEC. They're going to go ahead and play, an 8-game SEC schedule each season. But beginning in 2024, they're going to eliminate the divisions. Now, they have an East Division and a West Division. Well, they're going to do away with those divisions. And I have to be honest with you, Keon, I still don't understand. First of all, I don't understand why they had an East and West Division, but it's been that way for a long time. So now they're going to dissolve these divisions and just make it one big conference. Is that what I'm understanding here?
I mean, it's not a plan, but it just seems like that's
I read
where
it today.
we're going.
It is. The SEC commissioner said it.
I mean, that's what he would like, but obviously he can't force that to happen by himself.
Okay.
But as these conferences, start to especially the stronger conferences, your Big Ten, your SEC, start to absorb the other conferences like the SEC is doing, getting Texas and Oklahoma, and the Big Ten is attempting to do to get UCLA and USC. I think we're just naturally going to wind up there. I don't think that anyone has to plan for this to happen. I think we're going to wind up there just by virtue of the fact that as these conferences gobble up all the other teams, you take the strong teams from the Big 12, well, you make the Big 12 a little bit weaker. And then the Big 12 turns around to the Pac 12 and goes, hey, you've screwed up everything royally with your TV deals. You guys are a little weak right now. Maybe we should poach some of the teams that you have left, and so on. And that's just kind of where we're at. And I think the Pac 12 is kind of behind the 8 ball on all of this. They need to kind of look around and go, who do we get that's going to make us a little bit stronger and keep us, safe from essentially disappearing?
So it looks like the Big Ten and SEC are going to kind of control what happens. What they do, everybody else will follow, it seems like to me. Am I wrong in thinking that?
No, I don't think you're wrong. I think that's what I don't think anybody has a choice. Like, those two conferences have so much power and so much say in what goes on in college football, and they're going to have more power. When you add Texas and add Oklahoma, you have more say. You have more swing. When you add USC, when you add UCLA, you have more say. And you're adding those teams to Ohio State and Michigan, or you're adding those teams to Alabama and Auburn and Florida. Like these are teams that have had a ton of control in the sport, or these conferences have had a ton of control in the sport. And I think we don't really have a choice. We are just slowly heading towards some kind of super conference.
So the Big 12 is quote unquote open for business. They said that last year at Media Day, and that has caused sort of a bomb to go off in college football with the other conferences. Specifically, the Pac-12 was not very happy about all of this, because they look, hey, we still kind of a conference here, hey, we're still here. We're the Pac-12. We're still here, although it's been horribly run, horribly mismanaged, and horribly marketed. The Pac-12 is still a four. I mean, okay, USC is leaving, UCLA is maybe leaving. Now they're talking about bringing Colorado to the Big Ten. How do you see that going?
I don't know how that goes. I have no clue. But it's obviously going to be a big move for a Colorado who, I mean, we haven't talked about Colorado or thought about Colorado.
Well, now Coach Prime is there. So
so they're using the momentum that they have right now to really strongly consider making a move. And I think this is bad for the Pac-12, and the Pac-12 is going to find themselves left without a dance partner. I mean, you look at what the Big 12 has done. The moment that they realized they were losing Texas and Oklahoma, they went out and got Cincinnati. They went out and got BYU. You know, they went out and got Houston, just some of these up and coming schools that kind of are on the top side of their smaller conferences that could make a transition to a bigger conference and be pretty successful. And the Pac-12 hasn't really made that strong move, and they might be left in the dust.
Well, UCLA and USC, and now Utah and Colorado seem to be bailing ship here. So what's in this for ASU and U of A? Let's bring this home. We talk about local stuff here. ASU and U of A, are they going to move the Big 12? And what have you heard about that potential move by these two universities?
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be on the table. When you talk about the conferences that can give you the most share of a revenue, that can bring in the most revenue to start with, and then give you the biggest share or bigger share, you have to consider making that move, especially, again, as you mentioned, the Pac-12 has been very poorly run, especially from a TV rights deal, which is kind of the lifeblood of a conference at this point, is who is your partner? Is it CBS? Is it ESPN? Is it Fox Sports? Whoever it is, you've got to figure out who that is and make sure you get yourself a deal to where all of the partner schools can make money and feel pretty good about it. And if ASU hangs around in the Pac-12 and sees like, look, there's just not going to be anything here because they haven't sorted out what their TV network is. And dear God, are we going to sit down and try to get money from the CW? Yeah, they might just bounce to the Big 12 and just say to hell with it.
Bruno Baller asked the question, will SEC championship game be between the two top teams? Yes.
Yeah, there's no divisions anymore.
If they wipe out the divisions, then it would be the best two teams.
Well, they voted yes on that. They went the
so
8.
They are canning the divisions.
Yeah, they went 8 teams, no divisions.
So, yes, Bruno Baller, to answer your question, Hamilton Porter on the text line says, yeah, SEC might actually play D1 teams now. So what is the bump there?
They already do.
I mean, people keep, I understand that Alabama, they schedule a few cupcakes, but didn't we run down? Hang on just a second here. I want to look this up because I feel like I feel like this is sort of a raw deal. I mean, let's Alabama football, Crimson Tide football. And where's their schedule?
There's always going to be some cupcake late in the season because they have that extra week in the SEC that a lot of other conferences don't have.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm sorry that I don't necessarily think that that you look at the schedule and every non-conference game is a cupcake. I watched a lot of SEC football. I covered SEC teams, and I know that's not true.
I can't find there. It should be easy to find this, and I can't find it. What is their schedule here? Hang on. All right. So the 2023, here it is. They are going to be at home against MTSU. So I don't know who that is, but that's
Middle Tennessee State.
All right. Middle Tennessee State is going to get absolutely disemboweled right there in Crimson Tide Stadium. And then Texas comes to town the very next week. That's no slouch.
And that's an out-of-conference game this year.
That's no slouch.
Mind you.
South Florida comes in on the 16th. I don't know that South Florida is. I don't know that they're a slouch. I mean, I don't know what they did last year, but after that, you go right into Ole Miss. That's always a big game on the 23rd. Mississippi State, yeah, okay. Alabama's probably going to win that, but then you got Texas A&M. That's always a big game. You don't know what's going to happen.
And they've been tough games lately at the old College Station.
Arkansas and Tennessee, the 2 following weeks after that. Both of those games were huge. Tennessee, that was enormous. Then you have probably one of the biggest games of the year, LSU. All right, then you play Kentucky next. Then you play Chattanooga. Okay, you're going to just kill Chattanooga. But then you got the Iron Bowl on the 25th of November against Auburn. I don't see. There's a couple of cupcake games on here, but they're all SEC teams. Tennessee, Arkansas, A&M, Mississippi State, Ole Miss. Texas is not an SEC team yet. They will be, so they might as well get used to it. LSU and Auburn. They play 1, 2, 3 out-of-conference games, 4 out-of-conference games in their schedule. I don't see a problem with that.
I don't either. And I actually let me see here. I had to find it. So here's a tweet from Josh Pate, who does the Late Kick podcast for 24/7 Sports. And I thought it was a really good tweet because he was saying you got a couple of scenarios here. Let's say you're an 8-1 team, you've got a playoff bid in reach. Which remaining schedule would you rather have? Scenario A gives you Syracuse, Arizona, Northwestern. Scenario B gives you Georgia, Chattanooga, Samford. Which one would you rather have? You'd rather have the one where you don't play Georgia because if you lose to Georgia, you're done.
Yeah.
They will beat you.
Mm-hmm. Well, or they'll make it very...
Or they'll make it very tough, but I mean, the last couple of years of Georgia seems to suggest that they will beat you.
Yeah, they're almost automatic, aren't they?
I mean, Syracuse, Arizona, Northwestern, are those cupcakes? No.
Arizona's not going to be a cupcake this year. I got news for you.
But those could be, if you're an 8-1 team, those are potentially winnable games for you.
Big George, Randy, don't diss Chattanooga. Why? He says they're actually a pretty good school. Well, they might be a good school, but they're going to be disemboweled by Alabama.
But they play in the SoCon. Yeah. I went to Chattanooga. That's
I mean, if Chattanooga's taking on U of A, or maybe.
I don't know. You don't even know about that.
But Alabama, come on, Big George. That's like throwing a handful of minnows into a shark tank. 888-368-1580. Got more college football to talk about when we come back. Let's take a break. It's the Daily Blender on 1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic.
Finding great people to hire can be like trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Their powerful matching technology delivers so many qualified candidates. It's like finding a needle in a needle stack. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. For less hay and more needles, head to ZipRecruiter.
And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. At ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
There's a right way and a wrong way to fight off mosquitoes. Karate chopping the air in a public place in front of your kids and their friends, Mom, is the wrong way. Using STEM mosquito repellent is the right way. STEM effectively repels mosquitoes by harnessing active ingredients found in plants like lemongrass and peppermint, making it safe for use as directed around people and pets. STEM, rooted in nature, optimized by science, and embarrassment-free.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-279-0433 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-279-0433. That's 800-279-0433. What do you have to lose? Call 800-279-0433. Again, 800-279-0433.
Finding great people to hire can be like trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Their powerful matching technology delivers so many qualified candidates. It's like finding a needle in a needle stack. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. For less hay and more needles, head to ZipRecruiter.
And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. At ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Will Shakespeare here. Back in my day, I invented over 1,700 slang words like swagger, bedazzled, and my personal favorite, besmirch. But even I have trouble understanding slang words like yeet or bougie or
This is fire.
Actually, it is extremely smooth Shakespeare vodka.
Okay, boomer.
See what I mean? But there is one word that describes the pure quadruple distilled spirit crafted from an 8th century Polish recipe the first time you try it.
So lit.
I couldn't have said it better myself. Shakespeare vodka. So lit.
Hello, and thanks for listening. We strive to bring you the best programming available. And we have some exciting new shows coming for you later, like Haircuts of the NBA, Sunrise with KD, and Who Wants to Buy My Colts Tickets? Be listening for them. 1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic, and always on at 1580thefanatic.com.
It is a Friday edition of the Daily Blender, 1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic. Jeffrey O'Brien on assignment this week. That's Keon Rose over there. I'm Randy White, and you are on the text line at 888-368-1580. Texts are coming in. CK says, sounds like Jeffrey's bi lifestyle cut up with him. Now the spinning beach ball. Hope he gets his treatment soon. No, it was a peanut butter he was by peanut butter. Had nothing to do with sexuality. It was peanut butter, crunchy or smooth. And he went both ways on that. CK, maybe you didn't hear that. Maybe you're confused. 888-368-1580. We were talking about college football. Now I want to talk about Ja Morant. I think what the commissioner of the NBA did yesterday is the right thing. He always has this, this press conference prior to the first game of the finals. Every season he's done this. Sort of a state of the sport kind of address. And to be honest, NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell does the same thing, Super Bowl week. I don't know why the commissioners choose the finals week to have this, state of the sport address. But anyway, he did. And he discussed the Ja Morant thing. In terms of timing, we've uncovered a fair amount of additional information since I was asked about the situation. We probably could have brought it to a head right now, but we made the decision, and I believe the Players Association agrees with us, that it would be unfair to these players and these teams in the middle of this series to announce the results of that investigation, end quote. And Commissioner Silver went on to say that the Morant decision will be announced shortly after the conclusion of the finals. Isn't this sad that we're talking about Ja Morant again in a car like an immature kid playing with a weapon? I don't know if it was loaded. I would assume it is. The rule I learned about with guns, every gun, you assume every gun is loaded and you treat it with respect and you never wave it around and you never point it at somebody unless you're going to shoot that person. And I won't go into much more than that. But, I mean, this is dangerous. And Ja Morant's he's a kid. He's a kid that is making hundreds of millions of dollars. It's not like he's in his 30s. What is he, like 20, 23, 24?
He's 23.
He's a 23-year-old kid. He's just out of college. He's a basketball player. He's a kid. He plays a game. And because of the money that he makes, he doesn't have any responsibilities. Now, I'm not saying not to blame him and hold him responsible for his actions. But you think suspending him from the NBA is going to, go to your room, Ja. Go there for an indefinite amount of time.
Well, if you really think what he's doing is dangerous, it's the one thing that you can do that might get to him.
I disagree. And here's what I have to say about it. I think he should have to serve a suspension. And this counseling thing is ridiculous. But I think he needs to undergo some sort of education that shows him the reality of the damage weapons can do to other human beings.
And I wouldn't be opposed to the counseling, but the last time he went to counseling for like a week and was like, I'm all better now.
Well, no, I think it needs to be longer than that.
Yeah, I mean, there's no one's ever had problems, and then a week later they're like, "Yep, I figured it out."
I think he needs to have some sort of scared straight moment. I mean, they had that program for a long time where kids were thinking they were all that, and then they brought them into these prisons, and these prisoners came up there and got all up in their face, scared them. I think John Morant needs to be scared straight. I think he needs to understand how to respect a weapon, how to respect a handgun, how to respect a firearm. I have multiple firearms. I will never take the firearm out unless I am provoked to do so.
You mean you would never take out your gun and start dancing with it to music?
No.
Huh.
I dance with my wife to music.
Interesting.
But I have many firearms. I like firearms. I like shooting at targets. I don't find that having firearms is a bad thing. And I'll be honest with you, I don't find that having a firearm for safety is a bad thing. But you can't wave it around like it's some sort of a toy. And I maybe you put him in some sort of a course with some firearm trainers and show him the graphic side. Maybe working in a trauma unit for a week, seeing gunshots that come in, seeing the kind of damage that bullets do to human bodies. Maybe that would scare him straight into thinking, I need to respect this.
I mean, that's not a terrible idea, to be honest, because it does seem like he's got an idea in his head from like music videos as to how guns work. And that's just, that's not true.
See, and that's the thing too. I mean, our society has allowed, videos to come out showing this in the name of art. And I think it sets a dangerous precedent. It shows kids. I mean, look what it's done with. I can't put my finger. I can't draw a straight line back to music videos, or music and say this is why John Morant does this. Obviously, he makes a choice to do it. And I'm not saying you need to, censor people. What I am saying is maybe, I don't know, maybe there needs to be some guidelines. Is it a bad thing?
No, but I do think the NBA, what's mostly within the power of the NBA is to suspend you. I mean, that's their main ability is.
I feel bad for this kid, and I call him a kid. It's a term of endearment. I mean, no disrespect, but compared to me, I mean, he's a kid. He's making childish, immature decisions. Go out and have fun with your friends. Why do you got to pull a sidearm out? Why do you have to do that? Why is that a thing, man? Showing, pointing that weapon at some other kid because of a basketball game. Or he said something to you, where I came from, the way I grew up was, if you guys had a beef, you figured out how to work it out. Either you threw hands, or you came to a compromise, but you didn't shoot each other. I mean, that was so outside the understanding of, a kid sucker punched me one time and I went after him and we threw hands. And after that, it was over. It was done. Now, we weren't best friends, but we respected each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Nowadays, you sucker punch somebody, he could come up with He could come up with a 9mm and just put 4 or 5 holes right down the center of your frame.
Like it is a problem, like there is a culture around it too. And the culture around it, as you were saying, is not necessarily a culture of safety. And the reason why I went, music videos, music in particular, is that with Ja, every time he's been caught on camera with a gun, music has been involved. That's the reason why I specifically point that out.
I don't know. I feel bad for the kid. I really do. I genuinely feel bad. I wish something would happen. I wish something would happen that would wake him up to the dangers of having. I mean, is it not enough that we talk about people that are shooting up innocent people every day, and yet Ja Morant's got to go rolling around, listening to music, and have a weapon, showing a weapon. I mean, I've heard stories from men that have been in battle who had to shoot other human beings, and it changed their life forever. I don't believe humans are that callous that they can kill another human being and it not affect them.
Yeah, and again, Ja's not from a place where he needed guns growing up to
I don't
survive.
think so.
He was, he wasn't in a neighborhood that had tons of crime or anything like that. Like Ja Morant, middle class family. There's just no need for it.
Lost Toby at 888-368-1580. Ja's a spoiled brat. Maybe so.
Maybe.
But we're not talking about that. We're talking about the fact that he keeps waving guns around.
And potentially he's got some other problem going on. I mean, the Instagram post that he put out that we talked about not too long ago, where he was saying goodbye to his dad and to his mom and to his daughter. And then when the police showed up, he said, "Oh no, I just meant I was shutting down my social media." That post seemed pretty ominous.
Yeah.
That didn't seem
to me,
like
the first thing I thought when I saw that, when I heard about that, was that's somebody seeking attention. That's somebody that's in trouble.
Yeah, it's a cry for help. Seems like.
Yeah. Ultimate Frisbee guy says maybe the NRA could take Ja on as a sponsor or something, give him proper safety training, and if he wants to continue promoting firearms, he can do it in a professional and safe way. Share the message with everybody. Yeah, but yeah. I mean, I could see that. I just think Ja needs to see the damage weapons can do. I think if some pictures, some videos, and they're out there, you can find them, I'm sure. There are medical journals. There are pictures, there are videos. I mean, they're out there. Maybe he needs to see those. Maybe he needs to spend a week of training and learning what a bullet did to this human body, and what it did to this human body, and what it did to this human body, and what it did to this animal, or how it affected this, or how it. You see what I'm saying? Maybe he won't be so quick to flash his weapon around then. And by the way, I'm pretty sure those guys in those music videos that are flashing those weapons, I'm pretty sure that they are not loaded. I could be wrong.
I think you're right. And in some cases, I mean, obviously not every time it's true, but in some cases, the weapon's not even real.
Big George, sounds like the hammer's about to drop on Ja Morant. So sad. Such a talented player that's throwing his life and career away. Well, he's not so much. Well, yeah, I guess it is his life, huh?
Yeah, that's his livelihood.
Because it's going to void his contract. He's going to lose his hundreds of millions of dollars that he's rightfully earned by going into the NBA and playing basketball his entire life. I don't know. Whistling gerbil. My dad would whoop my butt all the time. That's why, that's why I play so soft. That's, Alvin Ayton. That's the father of DeAndre Ayton. I don't think that's true at all. I think this is a terrible text, Whistling gerbil, and you should be penalized. That's a 2-minute minor for you. Talking about something like that. Last Optimist, NBA rumored to have evidence that Ja was in a getaway car, shooter at a murder scene. Boy, I hope not. All right, enough of this. We'll get your text. We'll continue finishing up your text here on the other side as we head for hour number 3, the final hour of the week, with the Daily Blender here on the Big Flamethrower, 1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic. Be back in a moment.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? Just go to 4hims.com/joy. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, and the process is 100% online. To start your free online visit, go to 4hims.com/joy. That's FORHIMS.com/JOY.
Hello, everyone. Desert Equity Lending is back again with a mortgage product that we have all been waiting for. We are excited to offer once again the no document loan that we all remember from years ago. That's right. It's a true no document loan. Remember when stated income loans were available? They were the most popular mortgages available for self-employed, as well as for those borrowers that couldn't quite show enough income to qualify using regular underwriting guidelines. This new no doc loan is changing the way people get approved for a mortgage. Listen to this. No income, no problem. No tax returns, no problem. It doesn't take perfect credit to qualify either. If you have a good down payment and decent credit, you need to call now. These mortgages are being approved for primary residence as well as a second home. We are doing it the old-fashioned way. We use common sense underwriting to approve what other banks walk away from. Call 602-509-3000 to talk with a real person that can get you answers in hours, not days. That's 602-509-3000. Make the call. You will be glad you did. Desert Equity Lending. Desert Equity Lending, MB 0906989, NMLS 1733369. Conditions and restrictions apply.
There's a right way and a wrong way to fight off mosquitoes. Karate chopping the air in a public place in front of your kids and their friends, Mom, is the wrong way. Using STEM mosquito repellent is the right way. STEM effectively repels mosquitoes by harnessing active ingredients found in plants like lemongrass and peppermint, making it safe for use as directed around people and pets. STEM, rooted in nature, optimized by science, and embarrassment-free.
My friend and I are taking a trip to Mexico this year, but neither of us speak Spanish. So we downloaded Babbel and started learning Spanish fast.
Want to start getting conversational in another language in as little as 3 weeks? Babbel's quick 10-minute lessons were designed by language experts to be the most efficient and effective way to learn a new language.
¿Cómo te llamas? ¿Cómo te llamas?
Babbel, language for life, celebrating 10 million subscriptions sold. Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. That's BABBEL.com.
8 Out presents Terrifying Jobs.
Bull Rider, take 2.
Today, we're talking with Clifford Maxwell, a rodeo bullfighter. His job? Distract raging bulls from going after thrown riders.
Cliff, this seems like a really terrifying job. Why do you do it?
I love protecting the bull riders when they get bucked off.
How big are these bulls?
12 to 2,200 pounds of pure muscle.
You're not cowed by any of this, obviously. Is there anything that scares you?
Yeah. Distracted drivers terrify me.
This message is brought to you by ADOT, the ABA, and this station.
KQFN Tempe.
Also transmitting on K25CD Phoenix at 99.3 FM.
And K240U Fountain Hills at 95.9 FM.
It's time for the third hour.
People settle down because it's time. Time for what?
Showtime. When does it start?
Right now. 3, 2, 1.
Let's get on with the show. Let's do it.
Well, hey, everybody. Welcome to hour number 3 of the Friday edition of the Daily Blender on 1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic, broadcasting live in the Harmon Solar Studios inside the CRC Megaplex in Uptown Scottsdale. Right over there, the sexiest man at Sports Talk Radio. That's Keon Rose. Jeffrey O'Brien, our fearless leader, on assignment. Be back Monday. My name is Randy White, and you are texting in on the text line, the fourth dimension, at 888-368-1580. Turd Ferguson wants me to pour something that goes with Chinese food, about to pick up his order. So there's some Chinese whiskey. And I'll go ahead and give you a beer. Whiskey and a beer. Enjoy. 9915 says, Frank Vogel, underwhelming choice for the Suns after letting Monty go. Is he, though? We talked about this at the top of the show at 3:00, but let's just kind of rewind here. Between Doc Rivers, who's a proven coach, but we've seen what he can do, and then you had the assistant, what is his name? Williams,
Kevin Young.
Kevin Young. Why do you keep calling him Williams?
Because he was Monty's assistant.
All right, Kevin Young. You don't know what he can do, so there's a great unknown there. And then you have Frank Vogel. Nick Nurse wasn't coming here. Who else was going to be interviewed? I mean, there are so many guys. There are only so many guys you could bring in.
I know that they were talking about the Kings assistant, Jordy Fernandez, but for the same reason as Kevin Young, there's a lot of unknown there. You know, if you're gonna try that. And
I think like you do, I think that Matt Ishbia wants his team to be kind of revamped, wants his team to play defense. We know it can score, wanted to play some defense.
And then got a guy that has coached multiple number one defensive rated teams in the NBA across various, at least across two franchises.
I don't know that it's underwhelming. It may not be the sexiest name out there, but I think it is a positive, as Doc Rivers did not end up getting the job.
And, you know, a guy that went to an Eastern Conference Finals.
And a Western Conference final and won a championship. Yeah, it was in the bubble, but he won a championship.
But I about the Eastern Conference title, I was going to say it's not just that he had star power. Like, you know, Doc Rivers, one thing is that he's been successful, but he's always had stars. You know, Frank Vogel had Paul George when he was an emerging star. And then the rest of that roster was Roy Hibbert, David West, George Hill, Lance Stevenson.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it just, he didn't have a great roster, had the number one defense in the league that year, and went to the Eastern Conference Finals, and then went 6 games with the Miami Heat, who had LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh, and Eric Spoelstra. I'm just saying, the guy can coach.
I think it's a good pickup for the Phoenix Suns, and I want to let it play out. I don't have an opinion right now. I don't hate the hire. And maybe by this time next year, I'm going to be loving the hire if the Suns are in the finals. 888-368-1580, Erectinator, the Erectinator, says, back in the day, don't need no guns, don't need no knives. May the best man win on the dance floor. Are you talking about a dance-off, Erectinator? You're talking about a major boogie down on the dance floor. Lost Toby says Ja will be joining Dylan Brooks in China. Well, it could be. But China don't play no games with no handguns.
That could be.
That
could be a rough outing.
Yeah, they don't play no games, man.
I mean, Dylan Brooks is just an asshat.
If Ja goes to China and he breaks out one of them Glocks, the Chinese have them AK-47s trained on him right away. It will not be fun for Ja to do that in China. Wiggy my piggy says, Randy, I can't feel sorry for a millionaire. Okay, granted, I understand. I just feel sorry. The kid is throwing away so much.
And I tend to feel sorry for a lot of these younger players because they went from not having millions of dollars to having it suddenly, and they don't know how to act with it. And when I was 23, if you gave me $1 million, would I be smart? Would I make good decisions? No, I don't think so. Like, and I wasn't a reckless 23-year-old, you know, but I don't know if I could have been someone making good decisions. And then you add the level of pressure to Ja Morant personally, where from the stuff I read about his life, it really seems like he's the one in his family that is now the guy that's tasked to make sure that everybody in the family has money. And I don't just mean his mom and dad and daughter. I mean, you know, uncles that showed up out of nowhere. And those people, if you're 23 years old and you've got all that stress and pressure, are you making good decisions? And I can have empathy for somebody like that.
Yeah, listen, nobody knows the kind of pressure the kid's under, just him. But still, this was a stupid mistake.
Yeah.
And kids make mistakes. Young people make mistakes. I've made my share. Keon's made his share. I mean, earlier last hour, he left my mic on. I mean, the mistakes just add up.
You try not to. And look, if that's not even $1 million mistake. Imagine giving me millions of dollars at 23 years old and going, don't make any mistakes. I you hope that guys will be mature and wise beyond their years, but not everybody is.
Kista Cook says, 2 thoughts. First, jaw punk, and he can't fight. He needs a handgun to make him brave. 2, could be suffering from bipolar mania and require mental health intervention. Wouldn't be shocked if he's smoking to self-medicate. Yeah, I wouldn't either.
But I'm not going to.
Wouldn't either.
Yeah, I'm not going to sit here and try and diagnose John Morant, who I have never met.
Big George says, here's the big lesson we learned in hour number 2. Anyone would be stupid to try to, any burglars, any criminals would be stupid to break into the Randy White residence in the West Valley because Randy's packing some serious heat. Don't mess with Randy. Well, I mean, you have a chance because I haven't been shooting in a little while. I might be a little rusty. However, those red dot sights help me really hone in on the target. I generally hit what I'm aiming at. 888-368-1580. Let's move on. I've had enough of this. This is a Friday. It shouldn't be sad. This is the 5 o'clock hour. This is the fun hour of the Daily Blender here. We look forward to this all week. We talked some college football. How about this? A good story. Liam Hendricks came back. Liam Hendricks is a pitcher for the Chicago White Sox, and he made his return earlier this week. He had cancer. I think he had lymphoma, didn't he?
He did, yeah.
Non-Hodgkin lymphoma, and he worked his way back, all the way back to Guarantee Rate Field, and he started a game against the Los Angeles Angels. Been several months for him. He had to get back into shape. Had to go through all the rehab starts and everything like that. Less than 5 months after being diagnosed with this cancer, Liam Hendricks back on the mound for the White Sox, and that was a great time for him to come out. And I guess he got a standing ovation. I mean, the White Sox lost, but it was still, I think it was a win for everybody that saw the game, and especially Liam Hendricks and his wife. And he was fired up, man. He had. I saw part of the story they did on him. Man, his first pitch was like a strike. It was upper 90s. Just boom, hit it if you can. So good for him. Good for Liam Hendricks of the Chicago White Sox. Bad news, Chris Sale, although been dominant for the Red Sox this year, he certainly dominated the Diamondbacks when the Red Sox came through here. Well, he left Thursday's 8-2 win over the Cincinnati Reds due to a shoulder injury. He's supposedly has an MRI scheduled for today. I haven't heard anything yet. But he was struggling in the game. I watched part of the game. And he was struggling. His velocity was way down. His throwing motion was weird. And Alex Cora and the trainer had to go out and get him. He's been through a whole lot. And I'm not a Red Sox fan. I just, I would have hoped that this guy would have come back and returned, but that was bad for him. Chris Sale, I'm sure he's gonna go back on the IR. I'm sure he's got something going on. Celtics president Brad Stevens, you brought this one, Keon. Tell me this story. Brad Stevens talking about where the Celtics would be without Jaylen Brown.
Yeah, well, because the speculation, and this happens every single year with the Celtics, because people have questions about whether or not you can win a championship if your two best players are Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Like maybe you might want to shake some things up, maybe get another running mate for Jason Tatum. I struggle to understand how you would do that if everybody knows you're shopping Jaylen Brown. Are you trying to rebuild for the future or retool? I think it's a bad idea. I think if you got two young guys that you've been developing together, continue to develop those guys and build around them. But regardless, that's the conversation that happens all the time. And when it comes to Jaylen Brown, he ends up being the guy that's kind of on the chopping block, because if you were to go, who's the more talented of the two guys, even though I think that Jaylen Brown probably has the stronger killer instinct, Jason Tatum is the better basketball player. So he gets thrown out in these rumors every year, and I enjoy and like that Brad Stevens, who's been doing a really good job, by the way, as the president of that organization, gave up coaching, moved to the front office. He's done a fantastic job. I think that he's basically just trying to squash this thing before it even gets started. Like, we're not moving on from Jaylen Brown. You know, we went to a finals with him. We went to an Eastern Conference finals with him. And, you know, did we choke away a game 7? Yeah. Did we not play as well as we should have in that series with Miami? Yeah. That doesn't mean that you just break up the young core of your team just because. But we've seen how it goes in the NBA with some of these coaches that have been fired, and how desperate teams are to try and figure out when they're stuck in a conference finals or they're stuck in a conference semifinals. What do I need to do to get over that hump? Do I just keep running it back until, you know, everybody's too old for us to change anything? Or do I shake stuff up while I have a chance? And Brad Stevens is sticking with his guns, at least with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, and bringing those guys back for another year because they are good enough to win a title.
Brad Stevens said, without a doubt, I want Jaylen here. He's a big part of us, and we believe in him, and I'm thankful for him. But when those guys have success, they come back to work. And when they get beat, they own it and they come back to work. And now, and I know that's what they're about. And it's hard to find good character like that, is what he's talking about. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of speculation, especially in Boston, you know, with the Celtics. What are you going to do now? How are you going to fix this? You know, they're bringing back Joe Mazzulla, the head coach. They announced that yesterday. It looks like they want to bring back Jaylen Brown, so I don't think they're going to break up this core. I wouldn't either, to be honest with you. But it's a lot of money to outlay. That's going to hamper you putting good guys around them. But I think you're right. I think Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, they stay as the core. And it's going to be interesting to see the Celtics moving on during this summer. All right, 888-368-1580. Boomer Sooner. First of all, let's get on to some good news in sports. It's always the bad that gets talked about. Come on, man.
I mean, you have to sometimes.
Now, wait a minute. Wait just a daggum minute here, Boomer Sooner. I mean, this show is pretty positive all the time. I mean, we talked about Ja Morant because I'm sure everybody is talking about it.
And the commissioner of the league thought it was important to talk about. So you kind of have to mention it.
It's not so bad. Lost Toby, in fun news, Churchill Downs is closing down. What? Well, I'm going to have to check on that, Lost Toby. Churchill Downs is closing down? That's like a monument. That's like saying the Indianapolis Motor Speedway is closing down.
Yeah, this is according to the New York Times here, the first story that popped up in my search of the Goog. Churchill Downs to cease racing as it investigates death of horses.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we saw how many of those horses
okay.
did not make it.
That's kind of like that track over in California. Our old friend Eric would go to the track over in California. They had a lot of horses dying there. Lost Toby, 12 horses died in 2 weeks. Yeah, remember when that happened, Lost Toby? Do you remember Eric being on the show? And do you remember us talking about, what was that? Del Mar. I think it was Del Mar. That's interesting. I don't think they're closing the entire track down. I think they're doing an investigation to find out what's going on. They might have to make some changes. Churchill Downs is like I said, it's like the Indianapolis Motor Speedway or Daytona. They're not going to close it down. The Last Optimist, Randy, please pour me a double of scotch. All the cross-country shipping containers have been emptied and contents moved. into our new home. All right, well, congratulations. There you go. So there he is. Ladies and gentlemen, the last optimist has moved in. Mr. Wilbur says, guys, this whole TV contract thing with Pac-12 has gone on too long, and Arizona and Arizona State are likely going to suffer because of a second or even third-rate television opportunity that's going to come towards the Pac-12, and it's going to be terrible. They need to get out now while the getting is good. Don't allow Colorado to leave, and all of a sudden we're stuck with a Mountain West looking type of Pac-12 with San Diego State and UNLV and possibly even Boise State. That would be bad. Mr. Wilbur coming to life in the third hour of the Daily Blender. And Big George says it was not Del Mar, it was Santa Anita. Wow. Lost Toby says they're closing indefinitely and they're moving the rest of the Derby. I'm going to have to check on that one. That's big if they're going to close that down. Whew. That'd be like saying they're closing down, Fenway Park. Of course, it's a dump. I mean, look, probably the Boston fans are going to kill me now, but I mean, come on, it is. You walk in there, it's okay for baseball fans. I mean, I would say, oh, it's quaint, it's nice and everything, but come on, it's over 100 years old. I walked into Wrigley Field and I had to duck walking in, and I'm 5'8" 3/4. It was just a different time then, man. Sometimes it's better to move on, but it's quaint and it's kind, it's charming. They'll never change. Okay. All right. Enjoy that. All right. Let's take a break. And when we come back, I've got some football to talk about. Oh, there's some superpowers in the NFL, according to CBS. I want to throw it to the fourth dimension and to Keon to see if you agree. This is the Daily Blender on 1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic.
This is Brent Musburger's Action Update on 1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic. Juice Reel, the betting intelligence tool that's making better bettors. Open the App Store and get your hands on Juice Reel. Start betting smarter. Juice, R-E-E-L. Juice Reel. Now, here are the latest lines from my guys in the desert.
The NHL Stanley Cup Finals start on Saturday night. The Vegas Golden Knights hosting the Florida Panthers in Game 1. Vegas minus a goal and a half plus 184 on the puck line. Florida minus 225. On the money line, the Panthers plus 108. Vegas minus 130. Over under 5.5. Player performance parlays, Sergei Bobrovsky and Adin Hill, both with over 2.5 goals against. Get that at plus 240. Matthew Tkachuk and Jack Eichel, both over 0.5 assists. You can get that prop bet at plus 285. I'm Tony Desiri with your VSiN Action Update on 1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic.
O'Reilly. Stay cool this summer with AC Pro and O'Reilly Auto Parts. Right now, get a $15 O'Reilly Auto Parts gift card after rebate plus 2 times O Rewards points with the purchase of select AC Pro ready-to-use refrigerant products that include a hose and gauge. If your vehicle's AC is blowing hot air, beat the heat with AC Pro at your local O'Reilly Auto Parts store.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? Just go to 4hims.com/joy. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, and the process is 100% online. To start your free online visit, go to 4hims.com/joy. That's FORHIMS.com/JOY.
Remember when you could go to the doctor and actually leave feeling better? Hi, this is Dr. Stephen Katz. The problem with our healthcare system is the focus on the system and not on your healthcare. At the Naturopathic Physicians Group in Scottsdale, our doctors are experts in full spectrum healthcare using a natural approach. Patients come in for a variety of issues, including joint pain, chronic conditions, and issues specific to men and women's health. We help people find relief when other doctors have failed. Our naturopathic doctors can restore your pain-free life using cutting-edge regenerative treatments. We can also help restore balance to your immune, digestive, and hormonal systems. Addressing your cause can also improve both mental and emotional stability. If traditional medicines aren't working for you, don't you think it's time to start feeling like yourself again? Call us. We're the Naturopathic Physicians Group in Scottsdale, Arizona at 480-451-6161. That's 480-451-6161 or go to naturopathicgroup.com.
Don't let your kids get fooled by the people they meet on social media. It may start as an innocent conversation, but those strangers are using their relationship to deal drugs to your kids. If you think tiny pills can't do much harm, think again. Fentanyl can end it all. Find resources at talknowaz.com. Don't let your kids get fooled. Talk to them and visit talknowaz.com. This message is sponsored by the Substance Abuse Coalition Leaders of Arizona.
Now that the draft is in the books, it's that time of the season when the team gets together, to get acquainted.
Let's go. Practice time.
Summer means mini camps, OTAs, then it's on to preseason. Keep yourself tuned to the station with all the insight, updates, and breaking news when you need to know about the NFL offseason. Remember, if it's the NFL, we talk about it. Your home for NFL news, games, playoffs, and Super Bowl in the Valley. 1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic.
Daily Blender for a Friday here on 1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic. Rolling towards 6 o'clock tonight. I think people think I won't actually read their texts, but I will. I do read all the texts, even when I get off the air. If I have a few texts left and I don't get to them, which is unfortunate because I love to read texts on the air. If I don't get to them, like Mr. Wilbur, I will read them. And Mr. Wilbur, I think, thinks that I won't read this, but I will read this. Mr. Wilbur wants the entire fourth dimension to know he has a superpower. He can fart on command. Happy Friday, boys. How about a double shot of some redemption whiskey? As long as you don't fart on command while you're around me. Big George will back up my story about walking into Wrigley Field. Of course, Big George is 7 feet tall, so he has to duck his head going into everywhere. But growing up as a big Cubs fan, I can attest to having hit my head on some pipes snaking along the roof of the fan concourse at Wrigley Field. Still, Wrigley Field is a cathedral to baseball. Having been to Fenway Park a few years ago, it was okay, but severely overrated. The seats were meant to hold midgets and not tall people. Like I said, it's a dump. Now, they have made some upgrades. They have done a few things, but it's a 100-year-old building, man. Lost Toby. Doesn't everyone fart on command? No, I don't. Especially at my age. That could turn bad really quick. There's two things. You never waste a fart is one of them. I won't tell you the other one. 888-368-1580. The Bengals' Tyler Boyd says the team would have defeated the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game had he been healthy. Are you going to agree with that, Keon? If Tyler Boyd was on the sideline and was able to play in the game, he was out with an injury, and I think he came back and was only able to play like 80% or something. Do you think if he was 100%, the Bengals would have beat the Kansas City Chiefs last year?
I mean, it's impossible to say, but I'm leaning towards no. Because Tyler Boyd, you're the third receiver, man. Like, you're not. Jamar Chase is the number one option on that team. T. Higgins is the number two option on that team. Tyler Boyd's the third option. And football's a game of inches. It's possible. But I don't want to hear necessarily from the third receiver that the only thing that they were missing was me.
He was somewhat active. He had 2 catches for 40 yards.
Yeah, but he just wasn't 100%. But, man, that's football. Nobody's 100%. Do you think the Chiefs were 100%?
Well,
you got Patrick Mahomes hobbling everywhere.
I think they were 100% going to win that game. I mean,
yeah, but I mean, not 100% healthy.
Yeah.
So, I mean, everyone can say that. Everyone's like, yeah, no, I wasn't 100% and my team needed me. Everyone can say that in the NFL in the playoffs.
So then you're saying no. Tyler
I'm
Boyd did
saying
not.
no.
Yeah, he would no longer.
Like
He would no longer be there.
Now,
Okay.
if Jamar Chase weren't 100%, he had something off with his foot. He played through it anyway. Jamar Chase might have a case.
All right, this from Metairie, Louisiana. New Orleans Saints quarterback Jameis Winston still believes he's a starting NFL quarterback. Winston, who was the first pick of the 2015 draft, hasn't had a full season as a starter since last season with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Since his last season with the Bucs in 2019, he hasn't given up on that idea despite playing only 10 games in the past 2 years due to injuries. But he says that he's still a starting quarterback. Is that fact or I don't think so.
I don't think so, man. And I don't think that Jameis is crazy. Like I think that he is a very confident person. That's how he got to the NFL. I don't know what the hell else he's supposed to say. He's a number 1 overall draft pick, a guy who won a national championship in college. I get where the confidence is coming from. He's also somebody who once threw 30 touchdowns. He just also in that same season threw 30 interceptions. That was his problem. And I don't think that you can necessarily fix that. If that's the kind of player you are, there's nothing to change there. So I don't think that Jameis can be a starter, but I don't mind that Jameis thinks so.
He says he's had some unfortunate injuries over the past 3 years. This is where he's at. He's happy and thankful to be a quarterback with the New Orleans Saints. But he says that here in the near future, he's going to be a starting quarterback once again. He's here to serve, but in the near future, you'll not have Jameis Winston anymore to kick around, Jack.
I mean, I get it, but no one's knocking on the door for Jameis at this particular stage in his career the way he's played.
Well, the Raiders haven't called yet.
And if the Raiders haven't called, it's not happening.
A Bleacher Report put out a great list of overrated players at each position. I think this would be fun to finish off our week here. Don't worry, we're not going anywhere right now. We've got On This Date in Big Georgia sports history, and I've got a Wheel of Sports that we want to get to. Nearly 1,700 players on the NFL roster any given year, and they're broken into any number of categories. They're stars, solid starters, role players, rising youngsters, fading veterans, bench warmers, etc. But here's a list of the most overrated players in call it. Here's 11. I'll throw these 11 at you. I can't believe I'm going to say this. I think it's terrible that Bleacher Report chose to lead off with him. Number 1, they say, Kyler Murray of the Arizona Cardinals. Agree or disagree?
Wow. The most overrated quarterback in the league?
Most overrated quarterback in the league.
Disagree. Because there's this guy in Denver who a team traded multiple draft picks for, thought was going to make them contenders in the AFC West. Russell Wilson. How is the answer not obviously Russell Wilson? And it's not like Kyler's lived up to the expectations or the contract that hasn't yet kicked in that's going to be a lot of money. But Russell Wilson was a massive disappointment last year on a team that thought we have a Super Bowl contending team if we just add a really good quarterback, added Russell Wilson, and just weren't competitive at all. They didn't score points.
Kyler has not yet posted a 4,000-yard passing season. He's been ranked 14th in the league in passing yards, 12th in passing touchdowns in his last full season. He's 6 games under 500 as a starter in the NFL, and his lone playoff start was an absolute catastrophe. But yet, they backed up the Brinks truck last year, 5-year, $230.5 million contract that included $103 million in guarantees at signing. In terms of annual salary, he ranks 5th among quarterbacks. I'm going to keep bringing that out over the airwaves as often as I can so that Mr. Bidwell can hear it.
a
And
good point.
you still say he's not overrated? You think
no,
Russell Wilson is more overrated?
I agree that he's overrated. I just happen to think that Russell Wilson is more overrated. And so the thing is with Kyler, yeah, the Cardinals paid him a bunch of money, but they basically lost one draft pick with Kyler. They drafted Kyler. The Broncos lost multiple draft picks.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
And helped basically rebuild Seattle's entire defense with all the picks that they gave away. You know,
That's a
gave
good
Seattle a
point.
running
Yeah.
game with all the picks that they gave away, and then turned around and also paid the guy.
888-368-1580 text line. Blissful Hayes, no doubt Kyler Murray's contract is the worst in the NFL.
It's not good.
Big George, Russell Wilson has won a Super Bowl, though, Keon. Kyler hasn't won anything, and if anything, he chokes in the playoffs. I think Kyler is more overrated than Russell.
Okay. Oh, I'm talking about right now. I'm talking who's the most overrated quarterback in the league right now, not over their whole career. Because Russell Wilson, you're right, won a Super Bowl. He hasn't been overrated his entire career. But I cannot think of a quarterback last year that I was more disappointed in than Russell Wilson. And games where if they had managed to score 17 points, like 4 or 5 games, or if they'd scored just 17 points,
that's true.
They'd been a playoff team. They didn't because they couldn't, because
That's
Russell
true.
Wilson was just sucking.
That's true.
I mean, he just wasn't good.
He was sucking.
It was terrible.
888-368-1580. All right, second one they have on this list from Bleacher Report, most overrated players in the NFL. Running back Alvin Kamara, New Orleans Saints.
I'm a little biased. I
So
had
you're
Alvin
going to say
Kamara.
yes?
No, I'm going to say yeah. I'm going to say yeah. I had Alvin Kamara on fantasy football last year,
Oh, see, you can't do that.
and I started this man for multiple games and watched him do
That's true.
not a damn thing.
Mm.
Not a damn thing. I got my skull caved in, and my running back couldn't score touchdowns, get yards really of any kind. Yeah.
Kamara was arguably the most dangerous dual threat quarterback in the NFL at one time. In each of his first 4 seasons, he averaged 4.5 yards per carry, caught over 80 passes, and topped 1,300 yards. In 3 of those seasons, he eclipsed 1,500-yard totals or scored at least 13 touchdowns. But just last year, the Saints handed Kamara a 5-year extension that averaged a whopping $15 million a year. Among NFL running backs, only Christian McCaffrey of the San Francisco 49ers has a higher average salary. Kamara was one of the highest profile backs in the NFL and a star in fantasy football. But his last 2 seasons have been a different story. He's yet to come up short. He's yet to come up and have a 1,300-yard season. He's failed to exceed 4 yards per carry. His reception numbers have plummeted. As well, after 83 grabs in 2020, he's had 104 catches the past 2 seasons combined. Alvin Kamara. Is it fact or fiction, Fourth Dimension? Wilbur says Kamara's not necessarily overrated.
He was last year.
He should be incarcerated. Oh, I see what you did there.
It's funny.
Big George, touche, Keon. Isn't Carson Wentz one of the most overrated quarterbacks? Or is he a master genius for conning the Philadelphia Eagles, Indianapolis Colts, and Washington Commanders?
Yeah, I mean, he conned those teams, but no, he's either he or his agent are geniuses for that. But in terms of overrated, we're talking about the general NFL viewing public, the fans, and their perception of a guy versus what the guy actually does. None of us thought Carson was actually good. But Carson is pretty accurately rated. We all think he stinks, and he stinks. So I don't know if Carson should be on the list.
Most overrated receiver in the NFL right now for the Baltimore Ravens, it's Odell Beckham Jr. Agree or disagree?
Agree or disagree? I'm going to disagree. Because Amari Cooper was a top option in Dallas. Really good wide receiver for the Dallas Cowboys. They didn't want to pay him And I remember thinking that was awfully stupid of the Dallas Cowboys to not pay Amari Cooper, and keep him together with CeeDee Lamb and Michael Gallup in that wide receiver core. And then Amari Cooper took his very handsomely paid self to Cleveland and fell off of the face of the earth. Just vanished. Where is Amari Cooper? Does he still exist? I don't know. I'm going to say Amari Cooper.
All right.
Last year, I just thought that he was going to have a really great season. And I know that he wasn't playing with consistent quarterback play, but man, there's no reason for him to be as bad and non-existent as he was.
Most overrated players in the NFL. Number 4, David Njoku, tight end, Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, not to pick on the Browns again, but David Njoku is a guy that has a lot of upside and potential. And whenever people talk about him, that's all they talk about. But the guy's been in the league for a few years now, and we just haven't seen it. The athleticism hasn't turned into actually good tight end play. I guess you could kind of throw Darren Waller in there if you just go from an injury perspective. But when that dude's healthy, he's awesome.
Njoku is 6th in the league in average annual salary among tight ends. And he caught just 36 passes and failed to surpass 500 receiving yards. 36 passes and failed to surpass 500 receiving yards. David Njoku. The next guy, before we go to break, we can get one more in. This is going to be a hard one because I don't know. But Jawan Taylor, offensive tackle, Kansas City Chiefs. Most overrated in the NFL.
The most overrated? Yeah, I can agree with that. Guy's making a bunch of money. He's very well paid at tackle. And he got beat a lot. I remember watching some of those early Jaguar games early in the season before Doug Peterson really got to work his magic. And the first couple of weeks, maybe 2-3 weeks of the season, man, Trevor Lawrence is getting blown up and from his blind side. And Jawan Taylor is a guy that I think is pretty well respected, but I don't know how much he necessarily deserved that respect last year. His whole career has been a good career, but last year he was not a top tier tackle.
Taylor allowed an average of 7 sacks per season over the last 4 years in Jacksonville. Those reservations are well founded. Unfortunately, they can't unring the bell on his contract. Other overrated tackles, Brian O'Neill of Minnesota and Joseph Noteboom of the Los Angeles Rams. All right, we got to take a break. When we come back, we'll continue this list. Also on this date in Big George's sports history. And I've got a wheel of sports for you. It's the Daily Blender on 1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic.
My friend and I are taking a trip to Mexico this year, but neither of us speak Spanish. So we downloaded Babbel and started learning Spanish fast.
Want to start getting conversational in another language in as little as 3 weeks? Babbel's quick 10-minute lessons were designed by language experts to be the most efficient and effective way to learn a new language.
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿Cómo te llamas?
Babbel, language for life, celebrating 10 million subscriptions sold. Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. That's Babbel.com.
When it comes to covering the high school sports scene in Arizona, AZ Preps 365 has all the answers. Every Saturday morning from 8 until 10, they break down games, interview the newsmakers, talk with coaches from around the state, and stay up to date with what's happening with prep athletes and breaking news from the Arizona prep scene. It's AZ Preps 365, 8 till 10 Saturday mornings on 1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic, and always on at 1580thefanatic.com.
Seems like everything is going electric these days. Electric cars, electric trucks. But what you save on gas, you pay for with that electric bill. With all these things being plugged into your house, wouldn't it be nice to save up to 85% on your monthly electric bill? Well, you can do that with zero down and no payments for 12 months. Call Harmon Solar. Harmon Solar is a family-owned, woman-owned local company that uses top-of-the-line equipment. Call Harmon Solar, 800-281-3189. That's 800-281-3189. Or go to harmonsolar.com.
There's a right way and a wrong way to fight off mosquitoes. Karate chopping the air in a public place in front of your kids and their friends, Mom, is the wrong way. Using STEM mosquito repellent is the right way. STEM effectively repels mosquitoes by harnessing active ingredients found in plants like lemongrass and peppermint, making it safe for use as directed around people and pets. STEM, rooted in nature, optimized by science, and embarrassment-free.
You've made your financial plan, but are you prepared for an emergency?
Hello, I'm Mo Ansari, host of Market Wrap and president of Compact Asset Management, where we focus on holistic wealth management. That means helping you find the right investments and planning for the future. But the best investment plan in the world can be ineffective if you or your loved ones cannot access the information quickly. Do you know your account numbers and where your insurance policies are kept? Who do you want to take care of your children if something happens to you? From a natural disaster to a death in the family, every household needs an emergency plan in order to cope and recover. Call my office at 1-800-388-9700 and ask for the personal financial information packet, which can help you keep all of your important details together for easy access. That's 1-800-388-9700, 1-800-388-9700.
Compact Asset Management is a registered investment advisor. Funds custodian, Fidelity Institutional Wealth Services, member FINRA SIPC.
In the morning, get out of my bed. Wake up, Phoenix, to the best new morning sports show on radio. Join me, Tony D.
And me, Ron Culver, every weekday from 6 to 9 a.m. right here on 1580 and 99.3, The Fanatic.
It is a Friday edition of the Daily Blender on 1580 and 99.3, The Fanatic. Going through a list here of the most overrated players in the NFL. Swave Dave says, happy Friday, gentlemen. I wish I could have joined in earlier. Please pour me a tall one. Has anyone else got notice from Blender League already? Yeah, now see, the Blender Leagues are forming, and if you were in the leagues last year, you may have already gotten an email from Jeffrey. Let me pour you out a tall one there. You may have gotten information, but if you don't worry about it yet. If you're spazzing about it, if you're really panicking, you can text or email Blender at 1580thefanatic.com and ask Jeffrey about it. That's Blender at 1580thefanatic.com. Bruno Baller says, hey, Keon, does Arizona have a chance of coming out of that Fayetteville regional in college baseball? Look, U of A is playing decent ball. I don't think they come out of the Fayetteville regional. And that's not because I dislike U of A and I'm an ASU fan. I just don't think they're that good of a team. And I think, quite honestly, I think ASU was overlooked. I mean, they fell flat towards the end of the season, granted. But U of A, I mean, so they got a little hot towards the end of the season. I don't think they come out of the I don't think they come out of the regional. But I mean, I could be surprised. 2891, a new texter here on the Daily Blender. New texter. Suns with a journeyman hire coach in Vogel. Yikes. I don't have a problem with Frank Vogel. I don't have a problem at all.
Every coach, every team that needed a coach this offseason essentially hired a journeyman coach. And also journeyman, he's been on two teams before. Or sorry, three teams before this.
He does.
But his longest stints were with two teams.
Yeah.
He coached one team for like 7 years.
I think his resume is mostly made up of Indiana.
Yeah, that's his longest tenured team. And then the other team that he coached at for a short amount of time, he won a championship.
Yeah. Well, he did spend a little time in Orlando, but
yeah.
Thanks for that text at 888-368-1580. Kyle G. Hey, Randy, finally off work and heading to celebrate my son's 3rd birthday party. If you're pouring drinks, I'll take a bourbon and he'll have a frosted mug of root beer. All right. There you go. Frosty mug. Yeah, you got the last one, by the way. Lost Toby, most overrated tight end, Kyle Pitts.
He's in the running. He's good enough to be better than he's been, but I don't know how much to put on him in an offense where he is a pass catching tight end, an elite level athlete. with great hands. And the Atlanta Falcons just run the hell out of the ball. They don't throw it. So he's not going to put up numbers. I don't know how disappointing to say Kyle Pitts is because he seems to be misdrafted. He seems to be on a team where they run an offense that doesn't do anything that he's good at.
Yeah, I think he's in the wrong team.
And he's never been a great blocker. They knew that when they drafted him.
Make a trade, Arizona. Bring him here. We'll put him to work. 888-368-1580. Big George, Frank Vogel is not a journeyman. Not a journeyman. You know who is a journeyman? That's been head coach of multiple teams? Doc Rivers. Thank goodness the Suns did not hire him.
He won his championship like 20 years ago. Like I just
puts the lotion in the basket. Flogging Friday already. Did we need to know that? Last Optimist, I'm sorry, 20 minutes ago said Wrigley no longer needs the nets bolted to the ceilings to match falling concrete chunks. They fixed all of those crumbling slabs making up the upper deck. Well, that's good to know. Number one Rattlers fan wants us to talk some Rattlers. They're on the rise. I'm sorry. I don't have any Rattlers. Rattlers fan, number one Rattlers fan, you want to say something about the Rattlers? Go ahead. Text it in. I'll read it. Let's get this moving here because we're running short on time. It's time, ladies and gentlemen, for On This Date in Big George's sports history. Back in the year 1995, the Montreal Expos picked Sierra High School standout Tom Brady with the 18th round of the baseball amateur draft as the 507th player selected overall. The tall, athletic 17-year-old catcher with a powerful left-handed swing had a rocket arm. He's smartly elected to play football at the University of Michigan before winning a record-setting 7 Super Bowls with the New England Patriots and Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Yeah, Big George, we know about Tom Brady. But how many people knew he was drafted by the Expos? That's the real On This Date in Big George's sports history here. That's the real one right here. All right. More most overrated players. Interior offensive lineman Brandon Scherf.
Sad to say that I think that's true.
I don't know. Doug Peterson talks glowingly of him, saying the guy never takes a play off. Even when we take it out in practice for a rest here and there, he doesn't want to come out. He's the ultimate pro.
And I will say the same thing that I said about Russell Wilson. If you talk about his whole career, that guy hasn't been a disappointment. But if you want to talk about just last year, he wasn't good.
He allowed 6 sacks in 22.
Yeah, that's a
big number.
When you're talking about sacks given up by an interior lineman, it's a lot.
You agree then?
Yeah, and because he was the guard in Washington. And so I watched him play in Washington, and I know that he's better than what he showed last year, but maybe he's getting to that stage in his career. But last year he was absolutely overrated. Absolutely.
All right. The next overrated player in the NFL, Bradley Chubb, edge rusher, Miami Dolphins. You agree?
No, because I thought that you add and I know they have them in the honorable mention section there, but Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa, I thought you put those two guys together, you're going to have a highly productive defensive line. And was it though? Bradley Chubb was inconsistent, sure, but I don't think he was just out and out terrible. And I do think that you have to have a little bit of leeway for a guy changing defensive systems, mid-season, essentially getting traded. I was really disappointed in Joey Bosa. He's one of my favorite edge rushers to watch. And he's incredibly intelligent, but none of that showed up last year. None of it showed up in the regular season. None of it showed up in the playoff game when they were getting absolutely run in the second half by the Jacksonville Jaguars. and they needed their playmaker to make a big time play, and he either didn't or could not do it.
The next one, an internal defensive lineman, Dalvin Tomlinson of the Cleveland Browns.
I mean, he's a good candidate. I just think for, where he was drafted and all the promise that he was supposed to have, Leonard Williams, the Giants. He's been a worse or more disappointing, more overrated player.
All right. Most overrated player in the NFL, linebacker Tremaine Edmonds, Chicago Bears.
Yeah, I can see that. I'll agree with that. Just because the production that he had just wasn't where it was. And I think if you say Tremaine Edmonds to most people, he's going to be highly thought of. And when they do the 100 top players in the NFL, he'll probably be on the list and probably somewhere decently high on the list. But he didn't play like that last year.
Cornerback Trayvon Diggs, Dallas Cowboys.
No, I don't know who I'd replace him with off the top of my head, but he gets beat up a lot because he does get roasted quite a bit. But he's a gambler. He jumps for the football a lot. He bites on a lot of things because he's trying to force a turnover. And I think the overall impact of Trayvon Diggs and the turnovers that he causes and the nightmare that he can be for quarterbacks, throwing to that side of the field where he not only intercepts the ball, but when he gets it, he turns it into 6. I have trouble saying that dude's overrated.
All right. So you disagree.
I disagree.
And finally, our 11th player, safety Jamal Adams. Boy, it's too bad Ralph's not here. Safety Jamal Adams of the Seattle Seahawks.
And I think even Ralph would say, yeah. I mean, Jamal Adams, when he's healthy, dude might be the best safety in the league.
No kidding.
But he plays like 4 games a year. There's nothing you can do. There's no team you can help if you play a quarter of the season every year. And that's what he does. And it's injuries. I'm not blaming him, but that's just the fact. The reality is he's thought of as a very great safety. And because he's injured so often, he doesn't do a whole lot.
All right, there it is. The 11 as rated by Bleacher Report. The 11 most overrated players in college football. 888-368-1580. I'm sorry. Did I say college football? Yeah. I meant NFL.
Well,
my bad.
We talked a lot of college football.
Thanks for having my back, Keon. Yeah. I don't care what Jeffrey says about you. You're still okay with me. And now with his Arizona Rattlers report, here's number one Rattlers fan. Our quarterback was out a month, and we went 2-2 with a backup. We just signed 2 new players off the XFL, and they both immediately have made an impact on our defense. We've won 2 games in a row, scoring 60 points and winning by 3 touchdowns. We are peaking at the perfect time. 2023 champions. And there it is, our number one Rattlers fan, Rattlers Report, here on this Friday afternoon. See, I told you I'd read it. Bruno Baller, wow, I did not know Tom Brady was drafted by the Expos until right now. Thank you, Big George. See, Big George, although extremely tall and sometimes opinionated, you are very, very helpful to those listening to this radio program. Mr. Pink Eye says, most overrated player in fantasy football, Jeffrey. Most overrated.
Most overrated. I mean,
what are you talking about?
Didn't he make the playoffs?
I mean, well, I made the playoffs. Didn't you make the playoffs?
I know.
Hefty lefty. I've got a bowel movement peaking at the perfect time too.
Oh boy.
Thanks for sharing, Hefty lefty.
And look, when your nickname is bye week, you're not overrated. So I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. I'm accurately rated. I'm Carson Wentz of the Premier League. That's why I'm not in the Premier League anymore. I'm out.
Prison Wallet. Hey, did you guys hear the Rattlers are on the rise? Yeah, I heard that somewhere.
I heard they may even be peaking at the right time.
Kiss the cook. Truck nuts. Excuse me?
I'm not sure I follow.
Gonna spin the wheel of sports now. So this happened, and I don't know if anybody is a golfer out there. And oh, damn. But there was a golf NCAA championship out at Greyhawk out here in Scottsdale. Oregon Ducks golfer Greg Solhag was forced to withdraw from the NCAA National Championship after a wooden tee went through his shoe and impaled his foot. I've been golfing since I was 12 years old. I have never heard of this before. Oregon Ducks golfer Greg Solhag had a wooden tee impale his foot.
Wow.
Why? I think it's they've gone away from those traditional golfing shoes. That's what it is. All right, everybody. For Keon Rose, I'm Randy White, and you are the Fourth Dimension. Thanks for hanging out with us. This has been the Daily Blender on 1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic. Bye.
My friend and I are taking a trip to Mexico this year, but neither of us speak Spanish. So we downloaded Babbel and started learning Spanish fast.
Want to start getting